Don't miss the awesome Naruto stories my sister creates. Her last channel was hacked, so to stay in the loop, please subscribe to her new channel. It would mean a lot to her, and you won't regret it. Dear Naruto Lemon fans, I'm inviting all of you to my Boosty channel. You know that YouTube doesn't exactly approve of this kind of content, so please subscribe to my paid subscription and enjoy Naruto Lemon scenes comfortably. There are different subscription tiers from Mini Lemon to God Lemon. Those who buy the Over Naruto Lemon and God Naruto Lemon, I'll mentions in the videos. Dare. Chapter 1, Meeting of Two Worlds. In a dusty, sun-baked field surrounded by rocky hills, a fierce battle erupted. The sounds of battle filled the air, screams, explosions, and the sound of swords clashing. A group of shinobi, led by Naruto Uzumaki, fought desperately against the forces sent by an evil mage who sought to take over the world. Naruto, a cheerful smile on his face, parried another blow from the enemy. Around him, his trusted friends, Sasuke, Sakura, and the other shinobi of Konoha, also fought, determined to protect their home. The forces opposing them seemed ruthless, but Naruto knew that they had to stick together. Come on, guys. We can do this, he shouted, giving his team strength. His confidence was infectious, and the shinobi around him, inspired by his words, continued to fight with renewed tenacity. At this time, a strange cracking sound was heard over the battlefield. Energy began to accumulate in the air, which suddenly burst out from underground. A bright light blinded everyone, and from it a figure emerged that made the warriors' hearts freeze. Esdeath, the Empire's general, landed right in the middle of the battle. Her cold gaze and confident posture left a stunning impression on everyone. She was dressed in her usual military attire, which emphasized her ruthless nature. Esdeath's hands were glittering with ice knives, ready to fight. "Who dares to stop me?" she said, bowing her head and assessing her new opponents. Her voice was full of authority and confidence. Naruto, a little taken aback, but quickly recovering, stepped forward. "We won't let you do that. Who are you?" Esdeath looked at him, surprise flickering in her eyes for a moment. She saw in him the very power she had been searching for, a spirit that could challenge. "I am Esdeath, the general of the Empire. And I have come to destroy all who stand in my way." Sasuke and Sakura stood next to Naruto, ready to protect their friend. "You can't intimidate us, Esdeath. We will fight," Sasuke shouted, his Sharingan already activated. Esdeath only smirked in response. "Try it. It's been a long time since I've encountered such useless opponents." She waved her hand, and a deadly icy whirlwind erupted from it, rushing towards the shinobi. Naruto, feeling the air around him fill with cold, quickly reacted. "Cloning!" He shouted and created many shadow clones that scattered to the sides, dodging the ice tornado. "It's not as easy as you think," he shouted, and together with the clones, they began to attack Esdeath. One of his clones approached her and punched her hard, but Esdeath only smiled, confident in her abilities. Instead of avoiding the blow, she blocked it with her ice shield, which shattered into pieces, and then with a flick of her hand, sent it flying back, scattering the other clones. Naruto, seeing his friends being defeated, gathered all his chakra. "Reach! I will not give up!" he exclaimed, his body glowing with a bright golden light. He activated Saicha mode, which increased his strength and speed. Esdeath, feeling his power, turned her attention to him. "Interesting. You are indeed strong. But that still won't help you against me." She raised her hands, and a vortex of icy energy swirled around her. Naruto, preparing to attack, pressed his palms to his chest and shouted, "Wolverine Russia!" The light around him grew even brighter, and he rushed forward with incredible speed. His attack was lightning fast, and in an instant he was in front of Esdeath. But she was ready. With an icy laugh, Esdeath let go of one of her knives, which seemed to move through the air. Naruto barely managed to dodge it, and his fist missed. Not so fast. Esdeath whispered, and the ice knife rushed towards him, but Naruto, gathering all his strength, dodged at the last moment. He looked at her with new emotions, respect and curiosity. "You're strong. I didn't expect to meet someone like you here," he said, catching his breath. "Many people underestimate me, but you don't seem to be one of them," Esdeath replied, her eyes shining with interest. "I see potential in you. You're not just a shinobi, you're something more." Naruto, not having time to react to her words, rushed to attack again, trying to sort out his feelings. But his attempt was stopped when she, concentrating, summoned a huge wall of ice, blocking his path. "But you still can't stop me," Esdeath said, her ice wall flaring up to create a deadly shield. At this point, Naruto and his team realized that the situation was becoming critical. Something had to change. Esdeath, confident in her abilities, fought with an ease that even Naruto respected. She was like a tornado, unstoppable and destructive. "Sasuke. Sakura. We need to join forces," Naruto shouted. "We can't let her get the upper hand." Sasuke and Sakura exchanged glances and, realizing that the situation required immediate action, nodded. Sasuke activated his strongest technique and aimed his gaze at Esdeath, while Sakura prepared her power. Esdeath, noticing their actions, only smirked. "So you're going to join forces? That's nice. But that won't save you." At that moment, Naruto gathered all of his chakra and began his new move. He was going to use a technique that would combine their powers. "Let's do it." "Now," he shouted, and the three shinobi together uttered their final shout, unleashing their combined might on Esdeath. Magical energy swirled around them, creating a vortex of light that shot straight at Esdeath. She, seeing the power of the attack, became momentarily confused. "What the?" Esdeath, feeling the pressure building up, decided to respond. She raised her hands, preparing to counterattack, but Naruto wasn't going to give in. A light vortex pierced her icy defense, and just when Naruto and his friends were on the verge of victory, the entire scene suddenly froze. They felt the space around them begin to distort. "What's going on?" Sakura screamed, her voice shaking with fear. Naruto, not taking his eyes off Esdeath, felt the ground begin to vibrate under his feet. And then, as if in response to their combined attack, a loud cracking sound came from the depths. A bright flash of light surrounded them, and Naruto, Esdeath, and the rest of the shinobi were engulfed in that light. When the light faded, Naruto and his friends found themselves in a completely different place. Around them was a magnificent landscape, high mountains, dense forests, and sparkling rivers. They were lost in this new world, not understanding how or why this happened. Esdeath looked around, a little confused. "Where are we?" Naruto, who was also confused, realizing that they had moved to another dimension. He felt his heart pounding in his chest. "We're not in our world. This is something new." Esdeath, realizing that the situation was changing, clenched her fists, preparing for another battle. "Do you think this will change the outcome?" Naruto looked away from his surroundings and looked at her. "I don't know what this place is, but I won't give up and I won't let you hurt this world or my friends. It's funny. In this world, you still believe in your ideals," Esdeath said mockingly, but there was a spark of interest in her eyes. "Let's see what you can do. It'll be an interesting game." Thus began a new chapter in their lives, full of challenges and surprises, as Naruto and Esdeath, finding themselves in the same world, had to face new enemies and their own feelings. Their meeting was the beginning of something more than just a battle. It opened the door to an unknown, full of magic, friendship, and perhaps love. Chapter 2, First Feelings. After Naruto and his team found themselves in this new, mysterious world, they began to look around, trying to figure out where they were. Finding themselves among tall trees and green hills, the shinobi knew that they needed to join forces in order to survive and find a way back. At this time, Esdeath, who was standing a little to the side, carefully watched Naruto and his friends. Naruto, feeling her gaze, turned around. He met her cold, piercing eyes, and at that moment, a strange feeling arose in his heart. Esdeath was incredibly beautiful, with hair like snow and a graceful figure, but what struck Naruto the most was her strength and confidence. There was a strength in her that he couldn't help but respect. And even though she was his opponent, he felt drawn to her. "What do we do now?" Sasuke asked, breaking the silence. He looked at Naruto with obvious concern. Sakura looked around, trying to comprehend the situation. The noise of the forest and the light wind created an atmosphere of uncertainty and anxiety. Esdeath, without waiting for the shinobi to respond, stepped forward. "We can't just stand here. This place could be dangerous, and we need to find shelter," she said confidently. There was arrogance in her voice, but also a determination that could attract attention. Naruto, sensing her lack of team spirit, said, "We must work together if we are to survive in this world. Can you help us?" He looked at her with hope, knowing that despite their differences, they could combine their strengths for a common goal. Esdeath, slightly surprised by his offer, narrowed her eyes. She looked for weakness in his words, but instead saw genuine kindness in him. Maybe you're right. I can help you, but only if you follow my instructions," she said, her voice softer, but still full of authority. "Agreed." Naruto quickly replied, feeling his heart beat faster. He was full of energy and a desire to protect his friends, and this desire only grew stronger in Esdeath's presence. They quickly discussed strategy. Esdeath, with her vast knowledge of combat and tactics, came up with a plan: "We should split into groups. I'll go with you, Naruto. The rest of you will handle the security of the camp." She glanced at Sasuke and Sakura. "You two stay here and keep an eye on the situation." Sasuke nodded, and Sakura, although distrustful, agreed because she understood that in this situation they had no other choice. Naruto and Esdeath began to move towards where, according to her, the enemies could be. As they walked, Naruto felt something more than just cooperation was beginning to form between them. He tried to understand Esdeath, trying to decipher her cold nature. Every look she gave him, every movement, caused him mixed feelings of admiration and fear. "Are you really a commander?" he asked, unable to resist. "How did you manage to achieve such success?" Esdeath paused, surprised by his question. "Strength is the most important thing. To conquer, one must be ruthless," she replied, but there was a note of doubt in her voice. Her words were firm, but there was also a hint of bitterness in them. "The world is a cruel place, and only the strongest survive." Naruto, remembering his own path, decided to disagree. "But there are other ways. We can protect each other and take care of those who are weaker. I believe that friendship is a power that should not be underestimated," he said enthusiastically. Esdeath listened attentively, and something in her heart trembled. She, who was used to fighting and suffering, could not understand how someone could be so optimistic. "Friendship," she said, as if tasting the word. "It doesn't always help in battle." Naruto, noticing her thoughtfulness, continued, "Maybe, but that's what gives us strength. When we're together, we can overcome any difficulties. I can't imagine my life without my friends. They're the ones who make me stronger." Deep down, Esdeath began to doubt her own beliefs. She had always relied only on herself, but this feeling of being part of something bigger was unfamiliar and intriguing. The growing sense of interest in Naruto was beginning to awaken emotions in her that she had long forgotten. As they approached the place where Esdeath said the enemies might be, she suddenly felt her heart beat faster. Naruto walked beside her, his confident energy and optimism overpowering her coldness. At that moment, she realized that she was interested in getting to know him better. Seconds later, a group of opponents appeared in front of them, several entities surrounded by a dark aura. Esdeath instantly gathered all her strength and, looking at Naruto, said, "Now is not the time for talking. We must fight together." "Yes. I'm ready," Naruto shouted, and they rushed into battle. Esdeath attacked first, summoning ice spears that pierced the enemies. Naruto followed suit, activating Saitya mode and charging forward, creating shadow clones of himself to help distract the enemies. The battle was intense and intense. Naruto and Esdeath acted as one, their movements were coordinated and their attacks complemented each other. He was in awe of her strength and skill, and she was amazed at his courage and willingness to fight for his friends. During the fight, Naruto noticed how Esdeath would sometimes stop to help him. She would protect him from attacks that would hurt him, and in those moments, he felt an indescribable connection growing between them. When the last enemy was defeated, Naruto stood next to Esdeath, breathing heavily but with a satisfied smile on his face. "We did it!" he exclaimed, his eyes shining with joy. Esdeath rubbed her palms together and looked at him with a slight smile. "Do you really think that was a victory? This is just the beginning." But there was a certain warmth in her voice. She was beginning to realize that Naruto was not only strong, but also able to see the world from a different perspective. "This is the beginning of our friendship," he said, smiling uncontrollably. At that moment, Esdeath felt her heart clench. She didn't understand why his words touched her so much. Why couldn't she just turn away like she had before? She couldn't understand why his presence made her feel so warm and why she wanted to protect him in a way she never had before. Esdeath looked away to hide her feelings, but Naruto saw this and stepped closer. "Hey, don't you think we should celebrate this victory? Some kind of friendly party," he suggested, laughing heartily. Esdeath looked at him, a little embarrassed. She didn't know what to say. Her life had always been full of struggle and hatred, but now, in front of her, stood a man who truly cared for others. In that moment, she felt open to new possibilities. "I don't think it's such a bad idea," she said, and there was a note of tenderness in her voice. It was the first step toward revealing her feelings, which she had long hidden from herself. A new strength was growing in their hearts, a strength that they could create together despite their differences. Naruto and Esdeath began to realize that their bond was growing stronger, and this was only the beginning of a journey full of new enemies, trials and, perhaps, the most unexpected love. Chapter 3: Unexpected Allies. Naruto and Esdeath spent the next few days together, exploring the new world and developing their abilities. They came across mysterious forests and high mountains, full of dangers, but also beautiful landscapes. Each time they encountered enemies, they acted as one, their movements becoming more coordinated. Gradually, Esdeath began to open up to Naruto. She shared her knowledge of ice magic and how to use her powers in battle. One day, they found shelter in an abandoned temple, and that's when a new stage of their training began. "Naruto, you've already shown how to use your chakra, but your abilities are not limited to just that. Let me teach you how to control the power of ice," Esdeath said, standing before him with a confident smile. She noticed his eagerness to learn and felt she could trust him. Naruto, who was always willing to learn new things, enthusiastically agreed. "Of course. I'm ready." Esdeath walked closer to him and extended her hand. She summoned a small vortex of ice that swirled around their hands. "Look at this. Ice isn't just about freezing something. It's about controlling temperature and energy. You need to feel it, and then learn how to use it in your attacks." Naruto watched with bated breath as her ice manipulations created a beautiful pattern that sparkled in the sunlight. He felt inspiration rising in his heart. "I want to try," he exclaimed. Following her instructions, he focused on his chakra and tried to summon his ice powers. For a moment, he felt a ball of ice form around his palm. "Look!" he shouted, and the moment he threw the ice ball, it shattered against the wall of the temple. "That's a good start," Esdeath said, looking at him with respect. "But you need more practice. Try to focus and find the cold within you." As time went on, Naruto really began to feel his chakra becoming more diverse. He tried out different techniques, and although some of them didn't go so well, Esdeath always supported him, giving him hints and teaching him. But while teaching Naruto, Esdeath also began to notice changes in herself. His cheerfulness and carefree nature seeped into her heart, and she felt more and more that she wanted to get to know him better. Sometimes, when they were resting, Naruto would tell stories about his friends and life in Konoha, about his dreams of a world where no one suffered. "You talk about a world of friendship, but how is that possible?" Esdeath asked, grinning. "Do you believe that everyone can be good?" "Yes," Naruto answered confidently. "I believe that even the strongest can change. I have seen it firsthand. Everyone has a chance to become better if they find support and faith." Esdeath thought about his words. Her own experience had been very different. In her world, strength was everything, and no one paid attention to the weak. But something about Naruto fascinated her. She began to understand that there were other ways to lead her life. "You really believe that?" she said, her voice soft. It warmed her to know that someone in her life could care about her and show her other sides of existence. While Naruto was learning Esdeath's techniques, she also began to learn from him. He showed her what friendship and support were, how important it was to be there for each other during difficult times. Every night, they shared stories and laughed, forgetting about their fights. However, their peaceful existence was soon disrupted. That night, as they were settling down to rest in a shelter, Naruto and Esdeath felt the ground tremble. Esdeath, instantly alert, jumped to her feet. "What was that?" "I don't know, but it looks like something big," Naruto replied, his senses also straining. They both rushed out of the temple, ready for action. A shadow appeared on the horizon, approaching them at a great speed. It was something huge and dangerous, and Naruto and Esdeath knew that they had to combine their powers to deal with this threat. "Are you ready?" Naruto asked, his voice full of determination. "Always," Esdeath replied with cold confidence, a fire burning in her eyes. As the shadow approached, they saw that it was a group of monster-like creatures. Their eyes glowed with an ominous light, and their bodies were covered in dark scales. Naruto felt fear and excitement mixing in his heart, but Esdeath, sensing his tension, placed a hand on his shoulder. "Don't be afraid, we can handle it," she said with a confident smile. Naruto nodded, encouraged by her words. "Yeah. Let's do this together," he shouted and charged. Esdeath followed behind him, using her ice techniques to block the enemy's attacks and create powerful ice walls. Naruto, in turn, actively used his clone techniques to distract the enemies and at the same time support Esdeath. The battle raged on with renewed vigor. Each strike became more coordinated, their movements became like a dance. Esdeath fought like never before, and she felt Naruto supporting her, giving her confidence. With each enemy they pierced, their bond grew stronger. Naruto began to feel that Esdeath was not just a general, but an ally who was opening up to him more and more each day. Esdeath, in turn, realized that this boy with a bright heart was changing her world, helping her see it differently. When the last enemy fell, Naruto and Esdeath stopped, breathing heavily but with shining eyes. Naruto couldn't help but smile. "We did it." Esdeath, leaning on her ice sword, also smiled. "Yes, but this is just the beginning. We need to be prepared for more." Naruto, feeling a surge of energy and confidence, looked at Esdeath. "I'm ready if you are. I know we can do this together." Esdeath, slightly embarrassed by his optimism, looked him in the eye and nodded. "I'm ready too. Let's explore this world further and meet new allies who can help us." So the two unlikely allies set out on their journey, full of hope and eager to discover new things in their lives. Little did they know that there would be trials and joys ahead that would shape their bonds and test their strength. But one thing was clear, their adventures were just beginning. Chapter 4, Parting Paths. Several days had passed since Naruto and Esdeath had defeated their enemies together. They had traveled through this new world, exploring its beauty and dangers, but Esdeath's heart was growing uneasy. Every time she looked at Naruto, her inner conflict became more and more obvious. On one hand, she valued his friendship and support, but on the other, she knew that it was only a temporary consolation. Her place was in her own world, where she was a general of the empire, and her duty did not allow her to stay here. Naruto, unaware of her confusion, continued to share his energy and optimism with her. He talked about his friends and how they supported each other. Esdeath listened to him, smiling, but with each passing day her heart sank more and more from the knowledge that their paths would soon diverge. One day, when they stopped at the top of a hill to enjoy the sunset, Esdeath looked at Naruto and said, "I think I should go back to my world." Naruto, who was lost in his own thoughts, didn't immediately understand what she said. "What? Why?" he asked, his voice filled with confusion. At that moment, something in his heart sank. "We've only just begun our journey. We still have so much ahead of us." Esdeath, feeling a storm of emotions building up inside her, looked away. "My world is not a place to sit around doing nothing. I can't just walk away from my responsibilities. I have people who depend on me. I have to go back and handle things. But we can change everything together." Naruto exclaimed, his heart filled with despair. "You've become important to me. I don't want to lose you." Esdeath felt her heart clench in pain when she saw his sincere feelings. She didn't want to hurt him, but she was sure that she couldn't abandon her duties. "Naruto, you don't understand. I have to be where my people are. I can't be weak and betray them." Esdeath's words were a heavy blow to Naruto. He understood her point of view, but he still couldn't accept the thought of separation. "You won't be weak. You are strong and capable. You can change everything in your world." Esdeath looked at him with confusion, her heart pounding. Naruto was full of determination and strength, and he always believed that his friends could change the world for the better. But she felt that her place was in the world she left behind. I have to go," she said, her voice shaking. Naruto felt his heart break. "Wait! Don't go," he shouted, grabbing her hand, but Esdeath freed her hand and took a step back. "I have to do this, Naruto." "Goodbye," she said, tears welling up in her eyes, but she held them back, not wanting to show weakness. With that, she turned and walked away. Naruto stood up, not believing that she was leaving. "Esdeath," he shouted, his voice echoing across the hill. But she didn't turn around. Conflicting feelings stirred in her soul. She wanted to stay, but she knew she had to go. Soon her silhouette disappeared into the darkness, and Naruto was left alone on the top of the hill, his heart filled with despair. He felt like something important was leaving his life, and he didn't know how to cope with this loss. As the days passed, Naruto tried to continue his training, but thoughts of Esdeath never left him. He missed her smile, their training together, and their laughter. Every evening, he would go out to the hill where they were together and look for her, hoping that she would return. Meanwhile, Esdeath returned to her world, but her heart was torn apart. She found herself back in a familiar environment, but the feelings she had with Naruto wouldn't leave her alone. She felt isolated in her world, while the desire to see him again grew inside her. Despite her best efforts to focus on her duties, thoughts of Naruto continued to plague her. His words of friendship and support rang in her head like a song that could never be forgotten. She remembered how he laughed, how his face lit up with optimism, and it filled her heart with warmth. Why can't I forget him? Esdeath thought as she looked out the window of her office. She saw loyalty in the eyes of her people. But there was emptiness in her soul. The internal conflict continued to torment her. Naruto, meanwhile, couldn't accept the separation. He continued to train, using all his strength to become stronger. Deep down, he knew that he couldn't leave Esdeath without attention, and every night he dreamed of how they would meet again. One day, after a few weeks, he realized that he couldn't stay like this any longer. Naruto gathered his friends and explained the situation. I have to get back to her. I can't just sit here and wait, he said, his voice full of determination. But how will you do that? Sakura asked, her voice full of concern. I'll find a way. I'll find a portal or someone who can help me get back to her world, Naruto replied, his eyes shining with hope. Sasuke, who had been watching Naruto's determination, nodded. If you really want to do this, we'll be with you. We won't leave you alone in this. Naruto's friend's support gave him confidence. He began gathering information about the possibilities of traveling between worlds. He was ready to do anything to bring Esdeath back and let her know how much she meant to him. However, deep down Naruto knew that it would not be easy. He knew that he would have to fight hard, but he also knew that love and friendship can overcome any obstacle. He felt that this separation was not the end, but just a new stage in their relationship. Thus, the two heroes, separated between worlds, continued to struggle with their own feelings and desires. Naruto was ready to do anything to bring Esdeath back, and she, in turn, continued to be trapped in her own experiences. The paths separating them were difficult, but in their hearts there remained hope that one day they could be reunited. Chapter 5, Letters from Afar. Several weeks after their separation, Naruto, determined to bring Esdeath back, was finally able to find peace in his thoughts. He trained hard and gathered information about the portals between worlds. But even with all his training, there was a void in his heart that he could not fill with anything other than the memories of Esdeath. One evening, Naruto was sitting on top of a hill when he suddenly realized that he had the ability to keep in touch with Esdeath even though they were in different worlds. Why not write her a letter, he thought. The idea seemed simple, but it gave him hope. He took out a pen and paper, starting with what was in his heart. Hello, Esdeath. It's Naruto. I hope you're okay. I miss you. Every day, I think about our adventures and how we fought together. You inspire me. I hope you think about me too. I'll try to find a way to get back to you. You're not alone. I'll be there for you as much as I can. He finished the letter, folded it and put it in a special package that he always carried with him. Now he needed to find a way to send it to another world. He remembered an old acquaintance who was able to move objects between worlds. He was a wise and mysterious old man, known for his ability to control space and time. Naruto decided that he should try. The next day, Naruto went to see the elder. The road was long and tiring, but he was determined. When he finally reached the elder's hut, his heart was filled with hope. I heard you could help me deliver this letter, Naruto said, holding out the package. The old man, looking at him with interest, took the letter and began to study it. You are determined, young man. But keep in mind that the connection between worlds is not as simple as it seems. I can send this letter, but you cannot control when and how it reaches her hands, the old man said, his voice sounding like the crackling wind. I understand. But I'm willing to take the risk. Esdeath is important to me, Naruto answered confidently. The elder nodded and with the help of his magic the letter disappeared from his hands. Naruto felt his heart skip a beat in anticipation. He was filled with hope that Esdeath would receive his letter and answer him. Meanwhile, in her world, Esdeath was also suffering from separation. She returned to her duties, but her thoughts kept returning to Naruto. He had become a part of her life, and she could not forget him. Every evening, she would go out to the balcony and look at the stars, remembering their moments together. But Esdeath knew that she had to focus on her duties, and tried to hide her feelings. One day, while she was studying the reports of military operations, one of her subordinates entered her chambers with a mysterious package. "Your Excellency, this letter is for you." "It came from another world," he said with slight bewilderment. Esdeath raised her eyebrows in surprise and took the package. She unfolded it and began to read. "Hello, Esdeath. It's Naruto. I hope you're okay. I miss you. Every day, I think about our adventures and how we fought together. You inspire me. I hope you think about me too. I'll try to find a way to get back to you. You're not alone. I'll be there for you as much as I can." Naruto's words filled her heart with warmth. Her eyes filled with tears, and in that moment, she realized how much she loved him. His sincere feelings and support warmed her soul. She felt joy and hope fill her. Esdeath collected her thoughts and decided to reply to the letter. She took a pen and a blank sheet of paper and began to write. "Hello, Naruto. I received your letter. I am happy to know that you are thinking of me. I miss you too. Every day I think of how we fought together and your kindness. I feel your strength and determination supporting me here. Please continue to look for a way to return. I believe in you." When Esdeath finished the letter, she felt that she had written something important. It was the first step towards her inner liberation from fear and uncertainty. However, she knew that the elder could only help her with one shipment. So she decided to try to find a way to Naruto using her magical abilities. Esdeath studied spells and ancient runes that could open a path between worlds. Meanwhile, Naruto was not standing aside either. After receiving Esdeath's reply letter, he felt his determination only strengthen. His heart was filled with joy at her words. "She feels the same way," he thought, smiling. This gave him strength and confidence that he could find a way to bring her back. Naruto once again approached the elder to learn about the possibilities of traveling between worlds. He continued to train and develop his abilities, realizing that he would need maximum strength and agility to successfully return. Naruto soon went to his friend, Sasuke, to discuss his new strategy. "Sasuke, I want to find a way to bring Esdeath back. We can learn magic to open a portal. Can you help me?" he asked, his eyes blazing with determination. Sasuke, seeing Naruto full of energy, nodded. "I will help you. Together we can find a solution. I feel that Esdeath is important to you, and we will not leave you alone." This support was invaluable to Naruto. He knew that with his friends he could achieve anything, and they began to explore the possibilities of traveling between worlds. Esdeath, meanwhile, also continued her research. She studied magic that could help her open a portal, and every day her hope of meeting Naruto grew stronger. She felt that their connection was only getting stronger thanks to the letters, and it inspired her. A new bond was developing between the two worlds, a bond based on trust and feelings that grew with each exchange of letters. Naruto and Esdeath didn't know what lay ahead, but one thing was clear: they were both willing to do anything to be together. With each passing day, their bond grew stronger, and both sides knew that sooner or later they would meet again. This process of exchanging letters became a symbol of hope and strength for them, and their hearts beat in unison despite the distance. Each day they grew closer, and soon their paths would cross again, but for now they continued to fight the circumstances that tried to separate them. Chapter 6: In Search of Magic. Naruto stood in the center of the training grounds, surrounded by his friends. Sasuke and Sakura looked at his determined expression, knowing that he would do anything for Esdeath. This determination became even more palpable after Naruto received a response to his letter. He was filled with hope and ready to begin the next chapter of his journey. "I have gathered you here because I need your cooperation," Naruto began, his voice confident, though there was still worry in his heart. "I want to find a way to bring Esdeath back to our world. She has become a part of me, and I cannot bear to be separated." Sasuke nodded, standing next to him. "We'll help you. There must be some ancient texts or legends that describe ways to travel between worlds. If anyone can do it, it's us." Sakura, always ready to support her friends, added, "I'll search the Konoha library. There might be mentions of similar techniques there. We need to find out what sources can help us." Once they had gathered, they began to plan how exactly to approach this task. Naruto remembered the legends he had heard from older generations of ninja, and that there were ancient magical techniques that could open portals between worlds. "I remember one of the old books talked about some powerful techniques that could open gates to another world. We must find those texts," Naruto said, his eyes lighting up with hope. Meanwhile, in another world, Esdeath worked hard on her magical abilities. She knew that she had to become stronger to find a way back to Naruto. Every day, she studied ancient manuscripts to better understand her powers and find a way to open a portal. She also realized that she needed to trust her feelings more and use them as a source of strength. Her feelings for Naruto grew stronger with each passing day, and she decided that their connection was what could help her on this journey. In her castle, Esdeath collected books on magic and spells that could help her master the deeper aspects of her power. She spent hours studying, delving into ancient texts, and trying to find something that could help her transport herself to Naruto's world. Back to Naruto, his team had gathered in the Konoha library. They were sitting at a large table covered in books and scrolls. Sakura had already found several texts on ancient techniques, and her face was glowing with excitement. "Look! There's a mention of ancient rituals that use chakra to create portals. This could be just what we need," she said, pointing to a page full of complex symbols and drawings. "That's great. But we need more information on how exactly this works," Naruto replied, his voice full of determination. "If we can find out how to summon this portal, we can bring Esdeath back." Sasuke thought about it. "If these rituals really exist, we need to find others who can help. Perhaps we should talk to wise ninja or use techniques that older generations have learned." They continued to study the texts, but it soon became clear that they had stumbled upon complex symbols and rituals that would require not only knowledge, but also great power. Each ritual required powerful chakra and precise execution, otherwise the consequences could be devastating. Naruto was willing to do anything to bring Esdeath back, and his friends supported him. They agreed that once they found the necessary knowledge, they would begin practicing rituals together. Meanwhile, Esdeath also continued to study her powers. She began to realize that her ice magic was not only a powerful weapon, but also a tool that could be used to create something greater. She trained, developing her power, and soon noticed that her abilities were becoming more flexible and diverse. One day, during one of her training sessions, Esdeath decided to try to create something more than just ice attacks. She focused, trying to call upon her inner senses, and began using her magical abilities to create ice structures. At first, they were simple shapes, but soon she was able to create complex and beautiful structures. This training showed her that her magic could be creative as well as destructive. She realized that her feelings for Naruto could be a source of power, and that she should use that power to return to him. Esdeath decided that she would explore her magic further to understand how to create a portal using her ice powers. She continued to spend time in the library, reading about magic and studying runes that could help her open a path between worlds. Back to Naruto, his team continued to research the texts in the library. They came across references to the crystal of separating worlds, which could be used in rituals to open portals. The crystal was rumored to be in an ancient cave guarded by a powerful being. "If we can find this crystal, it will give us the ability to open the portal. Naruto exclaimed, his voice full of enthusiasm. This is our chance to bring Esdeath back. But we need to be careful. If the being guarding this crystal is truly powerful, we'll need all our strength, Sasuke said, his voice turning serious. Sakura nodded. I'll prepare for battle. We can't afford to lose this chance. They began preparing for the journey. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura gathered their strength and decided that each of them should contribute to this mission. Naruto used his chakra to create a map that would show the way to the cave, and Sasuke trained to prepare for a possible battle. After gathering all the necessary things, the team set off. The road to the cave was long and tiring, but their spirit and determination supported them at every step. Naruto felt that he was getting closer to his goal, and this thought gave him strength. Meanwhile, in Esdeath's world, she continued to train. She practiced creating ice constructs and used her magic to manipulate the ice into various shapes. One day, while she was working on a new spell, a vision appeared in her mind, an image of Naruto standing on a hill, with his inimitable smile. Esdeath felt a surge of strength and energy. She decided that her love and feelings for Naruto could be the key to her return. Inspired by this thought, she returned to studying magic and looked for ways to open a portal. The nights passed and each of them continued to explore their powers, full of hope and desire. Naruto and his friends searched for the crystal, and Esdeath studied magic, all of them determined to reunite. Finally, they reached a cave that was shrouded in mist and mystery. The entrance was guarded by powerful creatures, and Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura knew that a difficult battle awaited them. We must be prepared for any challenge. This is our last hope, Naruto said, his voice full of determination. Sasuke and Sakura nodded, and they entered the cave, ready to fight for their dream. Every step brought them closer to their goal, and with each passing minute their bond with Esdeath grew stronger. They knew that sooner or later all their efforts would be crowned with success, and they would meet again. This path was full of trials, but their love and friendship would carry them forward. Chapter 7, Meeting with Destiny. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura finally reached the cave guarded by the mysterious creatures. Their hearts were filled with excitement and hope. Every step they took filled them with determination, and the thought that they were close to reuniting with Esdeath gave them strength. As they entered the cave, the castle wall, made of glowing crystals, reflected their images, creating an atmosphere of magic and mystery. But there was danger ahead. In the darkness, they sensed the presence of a guard who might be ready to protect the crystal at any cost. Stay prepared. We need to be careful, Naruto whispered, his voice becoming serious. Sasuke and Sakura exchanged glances, knowing that this would be the decisive battle. The light from the crystals grew brighter, and soon they saw a silhouette emerging from the darkness. It was a huge creature, like a mythical dragon, guarding the crystal Naruto was looking for. Its eyes glowed like coals, and every glance it gave them was trembling. Who dares to enter the sanctuary of the crystal of separating worlds? The dragon roared, its voice sounding like thunder. We came for the crystal, to open the portal and bring Esdeath back. Naruto exclaimed, raising his head with pride. His confidence reflected the full force of his feelings. You seek something you cannot control. The power of the crystal is not a game. If you dare to do so, you must be prepared to pay the price, the dragon replied, his voice resonating in the air. We're ready for anything. Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura said in unison. The dragon let out a loud laugh and at the same time, light burst forth, filling the cave. It rushed forward and the battle began. Naruto used his techniques, creating many clones to distract the dragon. Sasuke focused on his Mangekyo Sharingan and attacked with dark energy, and Sakura used her power to protect her friends and support them. The battle was brutal, but they knew they couldn't give up. Naruto remembered his feelings for Esdeath and how much he loved her. It gave him strength and inspiration. He continued to attack, confidently moving towards his goal. Finally, after a long struggle, they were able to defeat the dragon. Exhausted but full of determination, they approached the crystal, which was glowing with a bright light. "It's him. Now we can open the portal," Naruto exclaimed, his heart pounding with excitement. Sasuke began to recite the ancient words he found in the texts, and Naruto focused his chakra on the crystal. Sakura stood nearby, placing her hands on the crystal to help increase the power of the ritual. As the crystal began to glow, they felt energy fill the cave. Suddenly, the air around them began to sparkle, and a portal opened before them. It glowed like stars, beckoning them to it. "We did it. We can bring Esdeath back," Naruto exclaimed happily. Sasuke and Sakura exchanged hopeful glances. They knew this wasn't the end, but just the beginning of a new phase. Naruto stepped into the portal, his heart filled with anticipation. In another world. Meanwhile, in Esdeath's world, she continued her research. Every day, she tried to find a way to open the portal, but her magic wouldn't allow it. She felt her powers growing, but she couldn't figure out how to use them to return. One day, while practicing her ice spells, she felt energy sparkle in the air. Esdeath froze instantly, realizing that this could be a sign of a portal. She focused, trying to figure out where the energy was coming from. Soon her heart was filled with hope. She remembered Naruto's words from his letter and it gave her strength. Esdeath focused on her feelings and strengthened her magic. Suddenly, a shimmering light appeared in front of her and she realized that this was what she was looking for. Finally, the portal opened and Esdeath stepped forward, hopeful. She walked out the other side and found herself in a familiar place, the hill where she first met Naruto. Silence filled the space and she stopped, trying to figure out where she was. Suddenly her heart started beating faster. Naruto was standing in front of her, his eyes sparkling with happiness. "Esdeath," he exclaimed, his voice full of emotion. At that moment, their eyes met, and the world around them seemed to stop. Naruto rushed towards her, hugging her tightly, as if afraid of losing her. "You're back," he said, his voice filled with joy. Esdeath felt her heart fill with happiness. She hugged Naruto, and tears of joy flowed down her cheeks. They were together despite all the trials. But soon tension arose between them. Naruto saw that Esdeath had changed. Her magic had become more powerful, but with it came a new darkness and complex emotions. Esdeath felt her powers consuming her inner fears and doubts. "Naruto. She began, but Naruto interrupted her. "There's no need to explain. I know what happened. We've both changed," he said, his voice full of understanding. Esdeath felt the darkness begin to pull her in. She didn't want Naruto to see her weaknesses. She wanted to be strong, but at the same time, the internal conflict was becoming more and more obvious. The power she had gained was affecting her perception of the world and making her doubt her feelings. "You don't have to be alone, Esdeath. We can get through this together," Naruto said, his voice full of hope. He knew that they had to combine their powers to overcome all obstacles. But Esdeath still felt afraid. "I'm not sure I can handle this. My power, it could harm not only me, but everyone around me," she said, her voice shaking with emotion. Naruto, sensing her worry, came closer. "We are together, and I believe in you. You are not alone. I love you, and I will never leave you," he said, his words filling the space with warmth and hope. Esdeath looked at him, and her heart filled with light. She realized that despite all the changes, they were still connected. This connection was stronger than any force, and she was ready to fight for her love. With each passing moment, Esdeath began to realize that their love and support could help her overcome the dark side of her power. She smiled and looked into Naruto's eyes and said, "Thank you, Naruto. I want to try, I want to be with you." They both knew that new challenges lay ahead. But together, they could overcome everything. Their love grew stronger, and they were ready to face any fate. Esdeath and Naruto stood on the threshold of a new beginning, and in that moment, they knew that their bonds could not be broken. With this sense of hope and strength, they decided that they must join forces to deal with new conflicts and forces that could threaten their love and the world they sought to protect. Their meeting was not just a reunion, but the beginning of a new journey, full of challenges, passions, and aspirations for a brighter future. Chapter 8: Trials and Dramas. Since Naruto and Esdeath were reunited, their lives were full of hope and joy. However, they knew that many trials lay ahead. Esdeath's return to Naruto's world brought not only joy, but also new threats that threatened both of them. After their meeting, Naruto and Esdeath decided that they should join forces to deal with the new conflicts that had arisen in both worlds. They traveled together to Konoha to discuss plans with Sasuke and Sakura. Discussion in Konoha. When they arrived in Konoha, everyone immediately noticed the changes in Esdeath. Her strength and confidence were more noticeable, but at the same time, there was a shadow left by her past. Sasuke and Sakura greeted them with smiles, but the conversation soon took a more serious tone. We need to deal with those who may threaten our worlds. Rumors of powerful enemies who seek to gain control of both realities are beginning to spread, Sasuke said, his voice threatening. We must be prepared to fight, Sakura added. If someone were to try to use your powers, Esdeath, it could lead to disaster. Esdeath knew that her powers, while they had become an asset, could also be a source of danger. She felt fear begin to creep up on her. I have to be careful. If someone wants to use me, I can't let that happen, she said, her voice full of worry. Naruto, sensing her anxiety, took her hand. We are together. You are not alone in this. I promise to protect you, he said, his words filling Esdeath with confidence. The first battle. Not even a few days passed before their warnings were confirmed. A group of mysterious ninjas with strange magic appeared on the horizon. They called themselves Shadows, and were looking for Esdeath to use her powers for their own purposes. During the attack, Esdeath felt her powers begin to spiral out of control. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura fought alongside her, but every time Esdeath used her magic, she felt her dark feelings intensify, and fear and doubt began to take hold of her. Esdeath, control your powers. Naruto shouted as he shielded her from the attack. He knew that her fear could cause her to fall. The battle was becoming more intense. Esdeath, though trying to hold back her powers, felt her inner demons begin to pull her to the surface. She knew that if she couldn't control her magic, her powers could turn against them. At this time, one of the opponents, possessing black chakra, aimed at Esdeath. He cast a spell that could deprive her of control over her magic. At this moment, Naruto jumped forward, covering her with his body. No! Esdeath screamed, her heart beating faster. She couldn't let Naruto get hurt because of her power. Esdeath, full of determination, used her ice magic to repel the attack, but the enemy's dark energy was too strong. She felt her control slipping away and fear overwhelmed her. Difficult choice. After an intense battle, they were able to defeat their opponents, but the consequences were severe. Esdeath sat on the ground, her breathing ragged. She felt exhausted and broken. I can't control my power anymore. I'm afraid I might hurt you, she said, her voice shaking with fear and despair. She knew that her past and her old life were leaving a mark on her soul. Naruto, seeing her suffering, came closer. Esdeath, you have to believe in yourself. We will get through this together. I will never leave you, he said, his eyes glowing with warmth and love. However, Esdeath realized that her powers were not only a gift, but also a curse. She considered returning to her old life, where she was a warlord and her powers were used to rule and conquer. Her heart was torn between her love for Naruto and her loyalty to her old life. Maybe I should go back. I don't want to hurt you or your friends. If I stay, I could become dangerous, she said, her eyes filling with tears. You can't just leave like that. You're important to us and to this world. Naruto exclaimed, his voice becoming insistent. I know you're stronger than you think. You're not alone. You can control your powers. Esdeath looked at him, her heart clenching. She knew his words were true, but fear still gripped her. I'm not sure I can handle this. I was a general, and my power brought suffering. I don't want to be the cause of pain again, she said, her voice full of longing. Naruto, sensing her inner struggle, came closer and hugged her. You are not who you used to be. You have changed. You fight for good and protect those you love. That is what makes you strong. I believe in you, he said, his words becoming a support in her heart. New enemy. Despite Naruto's support, the shadow of fear continued to haunt Esdeath. Shortly after their first battle, they received word of a new enemy threatening their world. It was a powerful mage capable of manipulating dark energy, and he knew of Esdeath's power. I have heard of your new powers, Esdeath. You must come to me, and then you will be able to use your power like never before, said a voice from the darkness as the mage appeared before them. You can't intimidate us. Sasuke shouted, his hands ready to attack. But the mage only chuckled. You don't understand. I can give Esdeath what she really wants. She will be able to control her power, and her suffering will end. Esdeath felt her inner fears rise to the surface once again. She knew it was a deception, but doubts began to plague her. A struggle arose in her mind, should she return to her old life or stay with Naruto and fight for their future? Naruto sensed her confusion. Esdeath, don't give in. We can stop him together. You're stronger than you think. But her fears were strong, and Esdeath did not know how to overcome them. The mage continued to speak, promising her power and control, and this offer began to confuse her. Difficult choice. At that moment, Esdeath realized that she had a difficult choice to make. She could return to her old life, where her power was used to control, or she could stay with Naruto and fight the dark energy that threatened their love and the world. I don't know what to do, she whispered, her eyes full of tears. I don't want to hurt you, but I can't ignore my power. We can get through this together, Naruto said again, his voice even more insistent. You're not alone. I won't let you go. We'll fight for our future. Esdeath looked at Naruto and her heart filled with determination. She knew she had to make a choice. After all, she realized that her powers could be used for good, not evil. I will not leave. I will stay with you and fight, she said, her voice growing stronger. With these words, Esdeath made a choice. She chose love and loyalty. Naruto, not their fears. But a new battle awaited them, full of challenges and drama, and they were ready to fight together, despite all the dangers that awaited them in the future. Chapter 9, Kisses and Promises. Night had fallen over Konoha with the soft light of the moon, illuminating the streets of the village. After intense battles that nearly led to their separation, Naruto and Esdeath found a moment of peace. They left the headquarters, leaving Sasuke and Sakura to discuss their next steps against the mysterious mage. Esdeath walked next to Naruto, and although their victory over the enemy was important, there was still a shadow of anxiety in her heart. Every step she took reminded her of how close she had come to losing him. She felt the tension slowly dissolve, and it filled her with warmth. You're truly amazing, Naruto, Esdeath said, her voice filled with tenderness. You always find the strength to protect everyone, even when the situation seems hopeless. Naruto smiled, his eyes shining with happiness. I'm just doing what I think is right. But I couldn't do any of this without you. You're strong too, Esdeath. I'm proud to have you by my side. They stopped at the edge of a hill, where they had a magnificent view of the night sky. Many stars twinkled above them, creating an atmosphere of magic and hope. Naruto looked at Esdeath and felt his heart fill with emotion. I know we have many challenges ahead of us, but I want you to know. I will never leave you. I will fight for us no matter what, he said, his voice full of confidence. Esdeath, feeling her heart flutter at his words, stepped closer. Me too, Naruto. I promise I'll do everything I can to protect you and our world. I want you to know that you're important to me, and I don't want to lose you, she said, her voice filled with emotion. At that moment, they both felt an invisible connection between them. Naruto took a step forward and hugged Esdeath, holding her close. She felt the warmth of his body, and it would give her strength. Suddenly, unable to contain his emotions, Naruto lifted her chin and, looking into her eyes, slowly leaned towards her. Their lips met in a gentle kiss, which soon turned passionate. They forgot about everything around them, immersing themselves in the feelings that overwhelmed them. Esdeath responded to the kiss, wrapping her arms around Naruto's neck. She felt the warmth of his lips melt away all her fears and doubts. In that moment, their souls connected, and they realized that they could not live without each other. When they finally pulled away, both were exhausted, their breathing ragged. Esdeath looked at Naruto, determination shining in her eyes. I want you to know that you have become more than just an ally to me. You are my strength and my hope. I want to be with you forever, she said, her voice full of sincerity. Naruto, feeling his heart fill with happiness, smiled. Me too, Esdeath. I want to spend my whole life with you. We will go through all the trials together. I promise I will always be by your side, he said, his eyes shining with emotion. Their eyes met again, and Esdeath felt hope blossoming in her soul. It was as if the stars of the night responded to their feelings, and they were confident that they would be able to overcome any obstacles that would come their way. Moments of happiness. A few days later, after intense training and discussing plans with Sasuke and Sakura, Naruto and Esdeath took some time for themselves. They walked through the quiet streets of Konoha, enjoying each other's company and trying to forget about the world full of conflicts. Naruto pulled Esdeath towards the lake where the moonlight reflected on the water, creating an amazing sight. Look how beautiful it is, he exclaimed, pointing at the twinkling stars in the water. Esdeath smiled, her heart filling with warmth. She felt that this moment was important for both of them. It really is beautiful here, she agreed, and suddenly, playfully, she pulled Naruto towards the water. Hey, wait! You know I can't swim. Naruto exclaimed, but Esdeath just laughed and pulled him towards the shore. When they reached the water, Esdeath stopped and looked at Naruto. Her eyes were filled with desire and tenderness. She took a step closer and Naruto felt his heart beat faster. You know, I never thought I'd find someone who could understand me the way you do. I've been alone for a long time, and now that you're here, I realize I can't imagine my life without you, she said, her voice full of emotion. Naruto, feeling his soul fill with light, replied, Me too, Esdeath. I've been looking for someone who could share all my joys and sorrows with me, and you are that person. We are together, and that's what matters. They came closer to each other again. And, looking into each other's eyes, exchanged a tender kiss, full of passion and promise. Promises for the future. After a long moment, they pulled away, but the warmth of their feelings continued to warm their hearts. Esdeath gently touched his cheek, and Naruto, feeling her touch, smiled. You know that despite all the trials, we will get through this. I will always be by your side, Naruto said, his voice full of confidence. Esdeath nodded, her heart brimming with gratitude. I promise to protect you and our world. I will not let anyone take you away from me, she said, her eyes shining with determination. At that moment, they realized that their love had become the light that led them forward. They were ready to fight for their feelings and overcome any obstacles that could stand in their way. With smiles on their faces and sincere promises in their hearts, they took a step towards a future full of hopes, dreams, and endless love. Their relationship was just beginning to develop, and they knew that many more trials and joyful moments were ahead of them. Chapter 10: Overcoming the Darkness. The bright day turned into evening, and a dark cloud rose above Konoha. After intense battles with enemies, Esdeath increasingly felt the ghosts of her past begin to surface again. She thought she had managed to leave her dark history behind, but fear and doubt once again took hold of her heart. Esdeath sat on the edge of the hill they had visited a few days ago. The night had enveloped her in silence, and memories of her time as a general, ruthlessly commanding her soldiers and wreaking havoc, kept flooding her mind. Every time she used her power, she felt her inner demons trying to break out. "Why can't I forget? Why am I still suffering?" she said quietly, her voice drowning in the silence of the night. Naruto, walking nearby, felt that something was wrong. He walked up to her and sat down next to her, noticing how her face was gloomy and full of worry. "Esdeath, are you okay?" he asked, his voice full of concern. She turned to him, her eyes shining with worry. "I'm not sure, Naruto. I feel like the ghosts of my past are starting to haunt me again. I thought I could deal with it, but they won't leave me alone," she admitted, her voice shaking. Naruto, sensing her distress, took her hand in his. "Esdeath, listen. You have me. You don't have to go through this alone," he said, his eyes looking straight into hers. "But you don't understand. I was a terrible person. I destroyed lives, and now that I use my powers, I'm afraid I'll become that Esdeath again," she said, tears beginning to form in her eyes. Naruto shook his head. "No, you're not who you used to be. You've changed. You fight for good things, for those you care about. Every time you use your powers now, you do it to protect, not to destroy," he said, his voice sounding confident. Esdeath looked at him, and something shifted in her heart. She felt that Naruto was sincere, but her inner fears continued to torment her. "I don't know if I'll ever be able to overcome this. I'll always be afraid that I'll return to my dark ways," she said, her voice full of pain. "I'll be with you until you learn to believe in yourself. Let's fight these ghosts together. You're not alone, and I won't let you give up," Naruto replied, his eyes shining with determination. Meeting with ghosts. That evening, as darkness fell over Konoha, Esdeath was deep in thought. She decided that she couldn't let her past control her. Suddenly, as if in response to her inner conflicts, the ghosts of her past appeared before her. Images of her former enemies and the victims she had lost filled the air. Their voices echoed, "You can never get rid of us. We will always be a part of you." Esdeath felt her heart fill with terror and she wanted to run, but she stopped herself. She knew she couldn't run from her fears. Instead, she took a deep breath and addressed the ghosts. "I'm not afraid of you. I'm not who I was anymore. I've changed, and you can't break me," she said, her voice growing more confident. The ghosts began to surround her, their voices growing louder. "You do not deserve forgiveness. You have stained your hands with the blood of innocence." Naruto, watching her struggle, knew that she needed support now. He stepped forward, his spirit full of determination. "Esdeath, I'm here. I believe in you. Tell them who you really are," he shouted, his voice full of strength. Esdeath turned to Naruto, and his words filled her soul with courage. She remembered all the times she fought for good causes, when she protected her friends and found the strength to be a better person. "I'm not perfect, but I'm fighting to be better. I will protect the ones I love and I won't let you break me," she screamed, her voice like thunder. The ghosts began to dissolve, their screams fading, and only her determination remained in the air. Overcoming. After this encounter, Esdeath felt her inner fears begin to subside. She looked at Naruto, his eyes shining with pride and support. "You did it, Esdeath. You defeated them. I knew you could do it," he said, his voice filled with happiness. Esdeath, wiping away her tears, felt relieved. "I did it. I overcame my darkness," she said, her heart filling with joy. Naruto came closer, hugging her. "We did this together. You are not alone. I will always be here for you, and together we can overcome any obstacle," he said, his warm touch warming her soul. Esdeath smiled, and a new feeling was born in her heart, confidence. She knew that she would fight for her future, and that Naruto would always be by her side. Together, they would overcome the darkness and begin a new life full of hope and love. With this thought, they began to look at the stars, realizing that there were still many adventures ahead of them, but now they knew that they could cope with any difficulty. Their love became the light that led them to new horizons. Chapter 11, Birth of a Family. Several years had passed since Naruto and Esdeath had overcome the darkness of the past and strengthened their relationship. Their love had blossomed, and they both knew they were ready to take the next step, starting a family. In Konoha, where they felt happy and safe, new, exciting stage in their lives had begun. One sunny morning, when the flowers of Konoha were blooming, Esdeath felt that their lives were about to change. She and Naruto decided that it was time to become parents. The long-awaited news was soon confirmed: Esdeath was pregnant. When she shared the news with Naruto, his eyes were shining with happiness. "We're going to be parents," he exclaimed, hugging her. "I can't wait to meet our baby." Esdeath laughed and hugged him back. "Me too, Naruto. This is going to be our greatest adventure yet. Our new life." With each passing day, the anticipation of the approaching birth became more and more exciting. Naruto and Esdeath prepared for their role as parents, learning everything about raising children and creating a cozy corner in their home. They did everything together, choosing names, discussing what values they wanted to pass on to their children. When the time finally came, Esdeath gave birth to 2 children, a boy and a girl. They named their son Hanzo, after greatness and strength, and their daughter Miyu, meaning beauty. Their eyes shone with joy and pride as they held their newborns in their arms. "They're so cute, Esdeath," Naruto said as he looked at their children. "I can't believe there are children." Esdeath smiled, feeling love spreading in her heart. "We must do everything to make them happy and protected," she replied, her voice full of tenderness. Parenting. After becoming parents, Naruto and Esdeath settled into their new lives. They enjoyed every moment they spent with Hanzo and Mia. Every day was filled with laughter, joy, and of course, some hardships. Their children inherited the powers of both their parents. Hanzo possessed Esdeath's incredible ice magic and Naruto's predatory nature, while Mia had strong chakra and the power to manipulate the elements. As the children began to grow, their abilities became more apparent. Hanzo was energetic and inquisitive, often trying to show off his power, while Mia was more reserved, but still persistent when it came to protecting her brother. "Hanzo, be careful with that power," Esdeath exclaimed as she watched her son throw a snowball and hit the trees. "You don't want to help me clean up again, do you?" "But I want to show everyone how strong I am, Mom," he replied, laughing and looking at Mia. "Power isn't just about destruction, Hanzo. It's also about protection and care," Naruto added, watching his children proudly. "You must learn to control your abilities." The trials of parenthood. However, with happiness and joy came new challenges. From time to time, the children were exposed to dangers related to their powers. One day, while playing in the yard, Hanzo accidentally released a powerful wave of ice that destroyed part of the fence. Naruto and Esdeath rushed to help when they heard the sound of a crash. Esdeath looked at her son, her heart clenching in worry. "Hanzo, what happened?" "I didn't mean to. I just..." He began, but the words caught in his throat. You have to be careful with powers like that, Hanzo. Esdeath said sternly, feeling her heartbeat speed up. Naruto intervened, leaning over to Hanzo and hugging him. We all make mistakes, but that's part of learning. The main thing is learning to control your powers, he said, trying to calm his son down. Mia, watching this, felt her pride for her brother mix with worry. She walked up to him and hugged him. We'll fix this together, Hanzo. I'm always here for you. Family unification. Over time, Naruto and Esdeath realized that despite all the hardships, their love and support for each other only strengthened the family. They began to spend more time together, participating in joint training and teaching the children how to use their powers for good. One day, after a long day of training, Naruto suggested that the whole family go on a picnic. Let's spend the evening outside. I'll make my famous ramen, he said, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Esdeath agreed with a smile. That's a great idea, Naruto. Kids, get ready. We're going on a picnic. At the picnic, the whole family was enjoying delicious food and laughing while sitting on the grass. Hanzo and Mia were playing and running around, while Naruto and Esdeath were exchanging looks full of love and happiness. I'm proud of the family we have, Naruto said, looking at the children. We did this together. Esdeath nodded, her heart filling with pride. Yes, we are all in this together, and we will always protect each other, she replied, hugging Naruto. A new stage of life. Thus, their family continued to grow and develop, facing new challenges, but always supporting each other. Naruto and Esdeath became not only parents, but also a team capable of coping with any difficulties that would come their way. Every day they became closer and stronger, their love only grew stronger, and they knew that many more amazing moments full of happiness and joy were waiting for them ahead. Their children inherited not only strength, but also the desire to protect, which became the main value in their family. And so, with warmth in their hearts, Naruto, Esdeath, Hanzo and Mia prepared for a new day full of adventure, laughter and, of course, love. Chapter 12, Threat from the Past. Konoha was flourishing, and Naruto and Esdeath's happiness grew stronger with each passing day. Their family enjoyed a peaceful life, but old shadows began to creep up on them again. Unpleasant rumors of enemies from the past seeking revenge reached Naruto and Esdeath's ears. One night, while they were enjoying a quiet evening with the children, a sound was heard that interrupted their idyll, a loud crack, followed by a dull thud. Naruto and Esdeath exchanged worried glances. What was that? Esdeath asked, her instincts kicking in at full power. Naruto stood up, ready to take action. I don't know, but we need to check, he said, heading towards the exit. Assault. When they reached the streets, Konoha was in disarray. The village's guards were fighting a group of mercenaries led by a familiar face, one Kurama, an old enemy of Esdeath who had once used his powers to manipulate and subjugate. I'm back, Esdeath, he shouted, his voice resonating in the air. I've come to finish what I started. Naruto and Esdeath exchanged looks of determination. We won't let you hurt our family. Naruto shouted as he stood in front of Esdeath, ready to protect her and their children. Kurama laughed, his eyes sparkling with hatred. You think you can stop me? You don't know what you're up against. Joining forces. As if in response to his threat, Naruto and Esdeath stood side by side. They knew that only by combining their powers could they stop him. Naruto activated his chakra, transforming into his Bijou state, while Esdeath called upon her ice powers. You can't defeat us. We're stronger than you think. Esdeath shouted, her voice full of confidence. Kurama charged at them, filling the space with powerful dark energy. Naruto responded with a powerful blow that shattered the ground beneath his feet, and Esdeath created ice spears that she threw towards the enemy. Their powers combined, creating a curtain of light and ice that repelled the enemy's attacks. However, Kurama was not the only enemy. More mercenaries emerged from the shadows, and the battle became even more intense. Naruto and Esdeath worked as one, supporting each other in every move. Test of love. As the battle progressed, Naruto felt his strength begin to fade. He looked back at Esdeath, seeing her fighting one of the mercenaries. His heart sank in fear. He couldn't let her get hurt. Esdeath! He shouted when he saw that she was in danger. He rushed towards her, swinging his fist as the ice beam passed just centimeters away from her. Naruto, take care! She shouted, creating a wall of ice to protect them both. In that moment, she realized how important his well-being was to her. Kurama took advantage of the moment to attack, and Naruto, seeing that Esdeath was in danger, stood in front of her. He felt dark energy entering his body, and he felt his powers begin to fade. I won't let you touch her, he shouted, activating his internal reserves. At that moment, his chakra flared with a bright light, rising to the heavens. United force. Inspired by Naruto's courage, Esdeath gathered all her strength. She remembered all the trials they had together, every moment they supported each other, and it filled her with determination. We are together, and we will not give in. She shouted, combining her power with Naruto. A powerful feeling of unity was born in their hearts. Ice vortices and streams of chakra appeared around them, forming a protective shield, repelling the attacks of their enemies. Kurama, realizing that he was facing something unimaginable, began to retreat. But Naruto and Esdeath, having combined their forces, attacked simultaneously, filling the space with light and ice. Their combined power became invincible. Esdeath, now! Naruto shouted, his voice full of confidence. The speed and force of their attack shattered Kurama's defenses, and he was forced to admit defeat. With a cry, he disappeared into the fog, leaving his mercenaries behind. A new perspective. After the battle, when the dust had settled, Naruto and Esdeath stood on their feet, surveying the destruction around them. Their children, scared but proud of their parents, approached them. Mom! Dad! Are you okay? Hanzo cried, his voice shaking with worry. Esdeath instantly felt relieved when she saw them. She leaned down, hugging the children. Yes, it's okay. We were protecting you, she said, her voice softer. But it was scary. Mia added, her eyes full of tears. Naruto and Esdeath exchanged glances, and in that moment, they realized that their love and strength were what truly mattered. They had overcome the trial, and now their bond was even stronger. We will always protect each other, Naruto said, looking at Esdeath. She nodded, her heart overflowing with happiness. Rethinking. This battle made them look at their feelings in a new way. They realized that their love is not only romantic moments, but also supporting each other in the most difficult times. Nothing could destroy the bond that was formed between them. Our family is the most important thing we have, Esdeath said, hugging her children. And we will handle any challenges that come our way, Naruto added. His voice sounding confident. They knew there were still many challenges ahead, but now they were ready to face them together as a true team. Their love and determination became their strength, and no one could separate them. Chapter 13, Battle for the Future. The sun rose over Konoha, bathing the village in golden light. But despite the beautiful day, there was a sense of unease in the air. After the recent mercenary attack, Esdeath and Naruto knew that the threat from the past was still present. Kurama, though temporarily defeated, remained at large and was no doubt planning another attack. They gathered with the team to discuss plans. Naruto, Esdeath, Sasuke, and Sakura sat at a large table filled with maps and strategies. Naruto looked up at his friends and, gathering his thoughts, said, "We must be prepared. Kurama will not leave us alone until he has fulfilled his vengeance." Esdeath nodded next to him. He was strong, but together we can overcome any difficulties, she said, her voice resolute. If he comes back, we need to use our full powers, Sasuke added, his face serious. I know he's not alone. He may have allies, and we need to be prepared for any eventuality. Sakura, supporting her friends, said, we must protect our family and our village. We will fight until the end. Preparing for battle. The team began to prepare. Naruto and Esdeath began training together, strategizing on how to combine their powers in battle. Naruto demonstrated his speed and the power of his tailed beasts, while Esdeath used ice magic, creating icy vortexes and barriers. Look at how I can control my ice when you create a vortex. Esdeath exclaimed, causing Naruto to smile in response. Yes, that would be amazing. If I create a vortex, you can direct your ice straight at your enemies, he replied, full of enthusiasm. Each training session brought them closer together. They realized that together they could achieve the impossible. In this union they found support and love, and a new feeling of unity was born in their hearts. Assault. Soon, as expected, Kurama returned with his army of mercenaries. Konoha was under threat again. This time, he was ready. With the help of his new allies, he was able to gather a force that was superior to his previous ones. The moment the mercenaries began their attack, Naruto and Esdeath stood side by side once again. We must protect our village and family. Naruto shouted, looking at Esdeath. Yes. We fight together, she replied, her eyes shining with determination. The battle began and both sides rushed into battle. Naruto used his speed and powerful attacks, tearing apart the enemy ranks. Esdeath, in turn, created ice walls and threw spears, freezing the enemies in place. Their powers complemented each other, like two halves of a whole. Difficulties on the way. But the battle was tough. Kurama, using his dark powers, created a powerful wave of energy that covered them. Naruto felt his chakra begin to fade, and realized that Kurama had become even stronger. Esdeath, we need to combine our powers even more, he shouted, looking at her with determination. I'm ready, Naruto. She replied, her voice full of confidence. They held hands, focusing on their connection. The energy emanating from them flared up like never before. At that moment, they realized that their love and support was their greatest strength. They began to act in unison, combining Esdeath's ice attacks with Naruto's powerful blows. All of their experience, training, and love merged into one combined attack. Now! Naruto shouted as they prepared their combination attack. Esdeath created a huge vortex of ice and Naruto added his chakra to it, creating a tornado of ice and wind. This is our last attack. We must win, she said, her voice becoming more determined. The tornado hit Kurama, forcing him to retreat. However, he was not going to give up. Gathering all his strength, he tried to resist their attack, but he did not have enough power. Kurama let out a shout, but at that moment Naruto and Esdeath attacked simultaneously. Bijou Ice Vortex. They shouted, and their combined power crushed the enemy. Victory and new hopes. When the dust settled, Kurama was defeated, his mercenaries scattered, no longer willing to fight. Naruto and Esdeath stood, tired but satisfied. Their victory was made possible by the unity and love they shared. We did it, Esdeath. Naruto said, hugging her. Yes, together we can overcome any difficulties, she replied, her eyes shining with happiness. The children, watching their parents deal with the danger, ran up to them, full of delight and pride. You are superheroes. Hanzo shouted, and Mia nodded, smiling. Naruto and Esdeath exchanged glances, and the confidence that they could overcome any difficulties together blossomed in their hearts once again. Their love and determination that was shown in this battle became a symbol of their family unity and strength. Now that they had overcome the threats of the past, they had new horizons ahead of them, full of hopes and dreams. And they knew that their love and unity would be the foundation of their future. Chapter 14, A Promise Forever. Konoha was once again filled with peace and tranquility, but the wounds left by the recent battle were still fresh. Naruto and Esdeath stood on top of a hill overlooking their village, relieved that they had defeated Cernus and his mercenaries. The wind gently ruffled Esdeath's hair, and Naruto smiled, looking at her with pride and love. "We did it," he said, not taking his eyes off her. "I couldn't have done it without you, Esdeath. You were my strength." Esdeath pulled away from his embrace, turned to him and said, "It wasn't just me. We fought together. You taught me that strength isn't just about ability, but also about trusting each other." Naruto felt his heart fill with warmth. He always knew Esdeath was strong, but now he realized how deep their connection was. Preparing for the promise. There was silence on the hill where they stood. This place had always been special to them, and it was here that Naruto decided it was the perfect time to have an important conversation. "Esdeath, you know that since you came into my life, everything has changed. I have never felt so complete, so alive," he said, trying to find the right words. Esdeath looked at him expectantly. She knew that this was the moment when they could discuss their future, and her heart began to beat faster. "We've been through many trials and tribulations, and I promise that I'll always be by your side. I want you to know that no matter what hardships may arise in the future, I will fight for us, for our family," Naruto continued, his voice ringing with sincere strength. Exchange of promises. Esdeath, feeling her emotions wash over her, nodded. "Me too. I promise I will never leave you. We are together, and together we can overcome anything. I want to be with you forever," she said, her eyes shining with tenderness. Naruto dropped to one knee, his heart pounding with excitement. "Esdeath, you've become a part of my life, and I can't imagine my future without you. I want you to know that you are my everything." With these words, he took out of his pocket a small, homemade pendant in the form of a symbol of their love, two intersecting hearts. "I want this to be our promise forever. As a symbol of our connection." Esdeath, surprised and touched by his gesture, couldn't hold back her tears of joy. "This is incredible, Naruto. I will accept it with pride," she said, leaning down to hug him. Unification of hearts. Naruto carefully placed the pendant around her neck, and then they both looked at each other, filled with emotion. Esdeath realized that this was not just a promise, but a symbol of their struggle together, love, and hope for the future. "I will always protect you, Esdeath. I will be your shield," Naruto said, his eyes shining with determination. "And I will be your strength, your support," she replied, their eyes meeting, creating an invisible connection, full of energy and love. At that moment, time stood still. Naruto and Esdeath, full of confidence, knew that together they could overcome any challenge that fate had in store. Their hearts beat in unison, and they realized that this promise would forever be the foundation of their lives. New horizons. As they stood on the hill, hugging each other, the sun rose over the horizon, illuminating the world with a new light. Naruto and Esdeath knew that many adventures lay ahead of them, but now they were ready for them, because they had what was truly important, love and understanding. "Let's do this together, Esdeath. Let's build our future full of happiness," Naruto said, his voice sounding confident. "Yes, together. I want to see the world with you," Esdeath replied, smiling. And with these words they began their journey to new horizons, ready to fight for their love and protect what is dear to them, promising to be together forever. Chapter 15, Unpredictable Twists of Fate. Several weeks had passed since Naruto and Esdeath had made a promise to each other forever. Their life in Konoha was filled with happy moments, and each day brought new joys. The children enjoyed spending time with their parents, and Naruto and Esdeath enjoyed the simple joys of family life. However, the peace could not last forever. One day, while he and Esdeath were walking around the village, Sasuke approached them, his face serious. "Naruto, Esdeath, we have a problem," he said, his voice wary. "New threat. What happened?" Naruto asked, his heart beating faster. Esdeath, sensing his concern, squeezed his hand. "A new threat has emerged. We have received information about a mysterious organization that is gathering powerful shinobi to seize power in different worlds. Their goal seems to be to destroy everything we have built," Sasuke explained, his eyes shining with tension. Naruto looked at Esdeath with worry in his eyes. "This could be serious. We can't let them destroy everything we hold dear." "Yes, and we must act quickly," Esdeath added, her voice firm. "But we can't do this alone. We need a team." Preparing for battle. Naruto and Esdeath immediately gathered their friends, including Sakura, Kakashi, and the rest of the Konoha shinobi. They discussed possible actions, making a plan to counter the new threat. "We need to find out who is behind this organization and what their plans are," Kakashi said, his experience always worth its weight in gold. "But we have to be careful. If they are gathering strength, they could attack at any moment," Sakura added, her face full of determination. Naruto and Esdeath felt their bond strengthen once again as they stood together. But at the same time, they knew that there were trials ahead that could test their promise. An unpredictable turn. Shortly after the meeting, strange events began to occur in Konoha. Mysterious disappearances began to occur in the village, and then rumors began to circulate about dark figures being seen in the forests around Konoha. One night, Naruto and Esdeath were out for a walk as usual to take their minds off their worries. Suddenly, they saw one of the dark figures rush past, leaving a trail of mysterious energy behind. "What was that?" Esdeath asked, her instincts kicking in again. Naruto cringed. "I don't know, but we need to find out. Let's follow him." They began to follow the silhouette, and soon came across a strange place, an open field filled with strange symbols emitting a dark light. In the center of the field stood a group of shinobi in black cloaks, who were discussing something with obvious tension. Change of trust. Suddenly, one of the shinobi noticed Naruto and Esdeath and shouted, "Look, they're here. We have guests." The dark figures turned, the tension draining from their faces. "Let's see what they can do," one of them said with a grin. At that moment, as Naruto and Esdeath prepared to fight, something inside Naruto changed. He felt his energy begin to fade and looked at Esdeath. In her eyes, he saw the same anxiety that he felt. "Esdeath, he began, but at that moment they were surrounded by dark forces. Fighting doubts. The battle began and they rushed into battle. Naruto used his skills while Esdeath called upon her ice powers, creating barriers and freezing her enemies. But as they fought, Naruto began to notice that Esdeath was becoming more and more immersed in the fight, her concentration seemed to be weakening. "Esdeath, are you okay?" he called out, trying to get to her. But she was focused on the fight, and soon they began to drift apart, each facing their own opponents. At that moment, Naruto felt the dark energy begin to engulf him, and his powers began to fade. He knew that he had to trust Esdeath, but doubts began to plague him. "Maybe I won't be able to protect her," crept into his thoughts. Overcoming. But at that moment, when he was on the verge of despair, he remembered their promise. He remembered how Esdeath had supported him, how they had gone through hardships together. He focused on their connection and gathered his strength again. "Esdeath, I'm with you. We're together," he shouted, joining their powers again. Esdeath, hearing his voice, turned around and saw Naruto fighting the dark forces. This gave her strength. "Naruto, I am by your side," she responded, and their powers combined again, creating a powerful flow of energy. With their combined power, they were able to break through the dark aura, striking down the enemies and disrupting their plans. After the battle. After defeating their enemies, Naruto and Esdeath were kneeling down, catching their breath. There was still silence around them, and only their hearts continued to beat in unison. I shouldn't have doubted you, Esdeath said, her voice full of shame. No, these were difficult times and we both needed more trust, Naruto replied, his eyes shining with understanding. They knew the ordeal had only strengthened their bond. We have to be open to each other, even in the most difficult moments, he added. I promise I will trust you more, Esdeath said, her face lit up with determination. Naruto smiled and squeezed her hand. Me too. We're together, and that's what matters. They knew that many new challenges lay ahead, but now they were ready, confident in their feelings and connection. With this new understanding, they continued on their way, ready for new adventures and challenges that fate had in store for them. Chapter 16, Finding Balance. The bright morning once again illuminated Konoha, and a fresh breeze filled the village with life. Naruto and Esdeath woke up early to enjoy some quiet time with their children. Hanzo and Mia, their restless children, were happily frolicking in the garden, playing with colorful toys. Naruto and Esdeath watched them with smiles on their faces, their hearts filled with joy at having such a strong family. However, reality soon set in again. Naruto, as Hokage, knew that his duties required constant attention and he needed to remain on guard. Esdeath, the commander of battles, also felt the need to continue to protect the world, not just their family, but all people. Daily routine. During the day, Naruto went about his duties, discussing plans with the village council, accepting new shinobi, and participating in training. Esdeath, in turn, studied the techniques needed for defense and taught her children the basics of martial arts. Every time she demonstrated her abilities, Hanzo and Mia looked at her with admiration, eager to emulate their mother. Mom, can you freeze the sun? Mia asked, looking at her mother with wide eyes. Esdeath laughed and shook her head. No, dear, the sun is too big, but I can make ice sculptures. Do you want to try? Hanzo nodded enthusiastically. Yes. We'll be like superheroes. Esdeath began to teach them, and soon beautiful ice forms appeared around them, bears, flowers, and even small animals. The children were delighted, and even Naruto, having gotten out of his worries, could not help but smile. The challenge of family responsibilities. But soon the family idyll was interrupted when Naruto received an urgent message from his companions. Strange anomalies appeared on the horizon again, and he understood that he had to be on guard. Esdeath, I have to go, he said, his heart reaching out to the children. I'll try to come back quickly. Esdeath, sensing his anxiety, placed her hand on his shoulder. I'm also willing to help if needed. We can fight together. But Naruto knew that they had to be with the kids now. No, I can't leave them alone. I have to be with them, he replied, a little embarrassed that he couldn't take her with him. Esdeath understood his doubts. But you must not forget your duties. We must find a balance between protection and family. You cannot always be there, and that is okay, she said, trying to reassure him. Balance of responsibilities. That day, Naruto went to meet with the council, and Esdeath stayed with the children. She decided that it would be a good opportunity to teach them about their duties and responsibilities. You have to know that being a protector is not just about fighting. It's also about being responsible for those around us, she said as she trained them. Hanzo, fascinated, asked, can we become protectors like you and Dad? Yes, you can become strong and wise. But it takes perseverance and courage, Esdeath replied, realizing that their training was an important step in shaping their character. Facing the challenge. That evening when Naruto returned home, he felt that the atmosphere in the house had changed. Esdeath looked a little tired, but proud. She greeted him with a smile, but Naruto noticed that she was hiding something. Did something happen, Esdeath? He asked, leaning towards her. She looked at him, her eyes shining with determination. We had a good day, but I think we need more time to teach the kids how to protect themselves, she admitted. But how can we combine all this? Each of us is busy with our own affairs, Naruto said, feeling that their balance was beginning to be disrupted. Esdeath thought about it. Maybe we should make time for the whole family. We can train together, create activities that will strengthen our bond and make us stronger. Creating family traditions. The next day, they sat down with the children and explained to them that they were going to be training together. Naruto and Esdeath decided to establish a family tradition, devoting time not only to martial arts, but also to simply having fun together. We'll have family training every Saturday, Naruto said, looking at the children with hope. And we'll take breaks for ice sculptures and games. Esdeath added, her voice filled with enthusiasm. The children reacted with delight. Hanzo exclaimed, "Hooray! We will become the strongest." And so began a new chapter of their lives, full of training, playing and learning together. Tests and discoveries. The first day of family training started with a happy bustle. Naruto and Esdeath prepared various exercises for the children to develop their skills and confidence. Let's start with the basics. Run around that tree. Naruto shouted and the children happily ran, laughing and playing. Esdeath was watching their form and giving advice. Soon it was time for martial arts. Naruto and Esdeath demonstrated basic techniques and then let the children try. First, Hanzo, wanting to surprise his parents, tried to show a difficult jump, but ended up falling, and everyone laughed. That was awesome. Try again, but be careful this time, Naruto said, encouraging him. Mia, trying to be more careful, also tried to learn, but her persistence led to her falling, causing everyone to laugh. But soon they began to understand the basics, and over time, the training became more and more productive. Deepening the connection. As they continued their training, Naruto and Esdeath began to notice how it strengthened their bond as parents and as a couple. They learned to trust each other more, realizing that they could rely on each other even in difficult times. In the evening, after a busy day, the whole family gathered together. Esdeath prepared dinner, and they sat at the table, full of laughter and discussion. Today was the best day ever, Mia said, her eyes shining with joy. Yes, and not only did we become stronger, but we also understood each other better, Hanzo added, his voice full of pride. Naruto and Esdeath exchanged glances, realizing that their family was not only about protection, but also about supporting each other in finding balance. They knew there were still many hardships ahead, but now they were ready to face them together as one. The way forward. Leaning towards Esdeath. Naruto quietly said, "Thank you for your support. I feel like we have something special now." She replied with a smile. And this is just the beginning. We are creating our history together, and I am sure that we will be able to overcome all the difficulties. They knew there were many adventures ahead, but now they were ready for them. They had already begun to build their happiness, and this path was just beginning. Chapter 17, Friends and Enemies. After Naruto and Esdeath had settled into their family life and began training together, they once again focused on their duties as protectors of the world. The peace they found was temporary. As if to indicate that the time of trials was not over, strange events began to appear in the village again. Their days were filled with meetings with allies and learning new strategies. Naruto knew that in order to protect Konoha and their children, they would need to join forces with various groups, even if it meant working with those who had once been enemies. Unexpected allies. One of the first to seek help was Tobirama Senju, the second Hokage. Naruto found it hard to believe that he had returned, but the mysterious events around him were becoming increasingly unsettling. Tobirama warned of an impending threat from an old enemy, Pan. Pan has become active again. His organization, Akatsuki, is building up its strength and preparing something big, Tobirama said, his face serious. We must combine our forces if we are to defeat him. Esdeath, who stood next to Naruto, felt the tension. She knew that such alliances could lead to unexpected consequences. If we want to combine our powers, we need to work together despite past conflicts, she said, emphasizing the importance of trust. Agreed, Naruto replied, knowing that it would not be an easy path. Discussion of strategy. At the next meeting with allies including Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi, they discussed possible actions. Naruto understood that their victory would require a combination of different approaches and methods. We need to use all of our strength and abilities to create a united front, Naruto stated as he looked at everyone present. But how can we work with people who once wanted to destroy us? Sasuke asked, his distrust of his old enemies obvious. Our strength lies in unity, Esdeath replied. We can learn from each other. Even enemies can become allies if they have a common goal. Kakashi nodded, adding, remember how we were able to join forces against Obito? History teaches us that even enemies can change their minds. Learning and understanding. The next few days were eventful. Naruto and Esdeath began training together with a group that included both old allies and former enemies. Each brought their own skills, and by working together, they began to understand how to use each other's strength. Esdeath, with her ice magic, was able to create training grounds where everyone could develop their abilities. Even heavy fighters like Sasuke and Sakura began to learn from Tobirama during training, and Naruto himself was able to create new techniques by combining their approaches with Esdeath's method. During this period, Naruto also noticed how his own skills began to improve when he worked in a team. He tried to combine his ninja techniques with Esdeath and Tobirama's fighting styles, and it made them stronger. Testing unions. However, with the improvement of skills came new challenges. During one of their lessons, when they were discussing tactics, disagreements suddenly arose between the allies. Sasuke and Tobirama began to argue about which method was better to use in battle. We can't just rely on force. We have to use strategy, Tobirama insisted. But strength is important. If we are weaker, how can we stand against Pan? Sasuke replied, his voice sounding tense. Esdeath decided to intervene, both approaches are important. We must find a balance between strength and strategy. Let's work on this together. This was a real test for Naruto and Esdeath. They realized that not only did they need to learn to work with different groups, but the allies themselves needed to learn to listen to each other. After all, this would be the deciding factor for their overall success. Merging groups. As time passed, the tensions between the allies began to subside. They realized that they all wanted the same thing, to protect their worlds and their loved ones. This unification gave them new hope. One day, while training, they began practicing team techniques. Naruto suggested combining his powers with Esdeath and other allies to create powerful attacks. This led to the creation of new fighting methods that combined their individual abilities. Let's try creating a new move that uses both wind and ice magic, Naruto suggested. Esdeath nodded after hearing this, it might work if we can synchronize our movements. They began practicing this new technique and soon they had a powerful combination. Everyone felt a surge of energy when Naruto used his Rasengan and Esdeath covered him with an ice shell. This created a strike that could hit any opponent. Reaching an agreement. After several successful training sessions and their mutual progress, Naruto and Esdeath began to feel confident. A spark of hope ignited in their hearts that even old enemies could become new allies if they worked together. That evening, they held a meeting to discuss the next step in the fight against Pang. Each of those present was discussed with their roles and tasks, and how they would proceed in the coming battle. We must focus on uniting our forces into one powerful front, Naruto stated, his voice determined. And we must remember that we have new allies. We must trust each other and support each other, Esdeath added, her eyes shining with determination. New horizons. With each passing day, Naruto and Esdeath realized more and more how important the alliance they had created was. They were stronger than ever, and this gave them confidence. Each of them, regardless of their past, was now part of a single team, ready to face new challenges. Together they faced new challenges, but now they were ready, realizing that friendship and trust can overcome even the deepest wounds of the past. The moment they came together, Naruto and Esdeath knew that the future would be full of possibilities. They looked forward to a future filled with new adventures and challenges, knowing that despite the difficulties, they would always be together. Chapter 18, Heartfelt Conversations. As the evening softly enveloped Konoha, Naruto and Esdeath decided to spend some time alone, away from the hustle and bustle of their duties. The children were already asleep, and the house was quiet. Naruto sat on the terrace, looking at the starry sky, while Esdeath joined him, covering her shoulders with a light blanket. The bright stars sparkled and the silence of the night gave a feeling of calm. But in Naruto's heart, thoughts were brewing about the future, about what they should do to protect their loved ones. Esdeath, knowing about his worries, decided to start a conversation. "Are you thinking about Pan and what lies ahead?" she asked, her voice soft as the wind blowing through the trees. Naruto sighed. "Yeah, I can't shake this feeling that we're not ready. I can't let anything happen to you or the kids. I need to be stronger." Discovery of fears. Esdeath looked at him, a spark of understanding appearing in her eyes. "I feel the same way. I could never leave my people, and now that includes you and the children. I'm afraid I won't be able to protect you the way I want to." She reached out and took his hand. Naruto felt the warmth of her touch penetrate him, lifting the weight off his shoulders. "But we must learn to trust each other. I know that together we can overcome any difficulties." Naruto nodded, but a shadow of doubt still remained in his eyes. "Sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough. That I won't be able to handle what we're about to face. You've achieved so much, Naruto. You've become the Hokage, protecting your village and family. Those aren't just words, those are actions," Esdeath said, her voice full of confidence. "And I believe in you. Dreams and hopes." After a pause, Naruto gathered his courage and decided to share his dreams. "I have always dreamed of a world where people can live in harmony, where there is no hatred or conflict. I want our children to grow up in such a world." Esdeath smiled as she listened to him. "It's a beautiful dream. I too dreamed of a world where my soldiers and citizens could live happily, free from fear. And now that I'm here with you and our children, I feel like that dream is closer than ever." Naruto looked at Esdeath and his heart filled with warmth. "I hope I can make it happen. But sometimes I wonder if we'll have enough strength to handle all of this." Fear of the future. Esdeath, sensing his fears, leaned closer, and their eyes met. "We can't predict the future. But we can do our best in the present. And I will be by your side every step of the way. We will fight for this world together." These words made Naruto feel like he wasn't alone. He always knew Esdeath was strong, but now he realized how deep her loyalty ran. "Thank you, Esdeath. You give me hope." Dive into memories. They continued talking and the conversation turned to memories of the past. Naruto shared moments from his childhood when he was lonely and isolated and how his dreams of friendship and acceptance became his motivation. "I never thought I could become Hokage, but my dream helped me overcome all the difficulties," he said. "Now I know that this is not only my dream, but also the dream of everyone who believes in me." Esdeath listened carefully, and then thought back to her own trials. "I was once alone, too. I always felt like I had to be strong to survive in my world. But now I understand that strength isn't just about power, it's about loving and caring for others." Deepening the connection. This exchange of feelings and memories brought them even closer. Naruto felt that he could trust Esdeath with all his fears and dreams. She was not only his partner in battle, but also in life. You are my strength, Esdeath, he said, looking into her eyes. With you, I feel like I can achieve anything. She smiled, her eyes shining with happiness. And you are my hope. You showed me that love and friendship have power I never knew. We can create the world we dream of, together. Aspiration for the future. They stayed on the terrace, immersed in endless conversations under the starry sky. Every word, every confession made their connection only stronger. The night did not want to end, and they enjoyed every moment, realizing that together they can overcome any obstacles. Let's promise each other that we'll always talk to each other about our fears and dreams, Naruto suggested, his voice sounding sincere. Esdeath nodded. I promise. And let it become our ritual to share our thoughts and feelings every night. Naruto smiled, feeling how this small promise strengthened their bond. He knew that there would be hard times ahead, but now he was confident that with Esdeath by his side, they could handle any storm. With these thoughts, they began to look at the night sky, full of stars, which seemed to shine on their path, foreshadowing new opportunities and hopes. The evening ended, but a new strength was born in their hearts, the strength of love, trust and readiness to face any challenge together. Chapter 19, A Strike of Fate. The silence of the night soon gave way to the harbingers of storms. Konoha was enveloped in calm, but Naruto and Esdeath knew that this state could not last forever. An uneasy feeling grew in Naruto's heart, as if the wind was bringing bad news. Several days passed, and finally the long-awaited peace was broken. At night, when the stars lit up the sky, Naruto and Esdeath gathered with the children in the house, when suddenly there was a loud knock on the door. When they entered, they saw Sasuke, his face serious and full of worry. Naruto, Esdeath, we need to talk. It's urgent, he said, putting his usual manners aside. Unexpected news. Naruto and Esdeath exchanged glances, their hearts beating in unison. Something was wrong. Sasuke began to explain that several villages were being attacked by groups that seemed to be allied with Pan. These new enemies were seeking to seize power, using force and fear to subjugate others. I gathered a group to investigate what was going on. But they started gaining strength, and their target is Konoha, Sasuke said, his voice tense. Naruto felt a chill run down his spine. He knew he had to act quickly. But at the same time, he couldn't ignore the dangers that were looming over his family. Esdeath could feel the tension building as well. Threat to the family. At that moment, Naruto remembered his children, that they could become victims of this threat. It was too much for his heart. Sasuke, what can we do? We must protect the village and our family, he stated, determination in his voice. We need to prepare for defense, but we need to know where they're attacking from, Sasuke replied, his voice still firm. I think it's related to Pan, but he has new allies. Esdeath felt her heart clench. We can't let our children become targets. We have to act, and we have to act fast. Sacrifice or protection. A cold wind pounded outside, a harbinger of troubles to come. They soon gathered to discuss their actions. Esdeath suggested dividing the team into several groups, one would protect the children, and the other would search for enemies. Naruto, you have to stay with the children. I can't let anything happen to them. It's my responsibility to protect them, she said, looking at him with determination. Naruto felt his breath catch in his throat. He understood that Esdeath wanted to protect her family, but his heart told him that he had to be with her, especially in such dark times. I can't stay away, Esdeath. I'm the Hokage, and I can't leave people to their fate. We have to be together. But Esdeath was also unwavering. It's a risk. If something happens, I can't let you get hurt. I know you're strong, but you're also a father. And I can't leave you in danger when our children are waiting. Difficult choice. As if in response to their conversation, a distant rumble began to sound, gradually growing louder. Naruto and Esdeath exchanged worried glances, realizing that time was running out. They only had a moment to make a choice that would affect their future. Naruto, struggling within himself, said, "Esdeath, I understand your fears, but we have to do this together. If something happens, I won't be able to forgive myself for being left behind." Passion burned in their eyes, but this time the fear did not come from external enemies, but from the need to make a choice. Esdeath looked at Naruto, and she knew that she could not delay the decision. "Then let's do it together, but we must be careful. Our children are a priority, and we must protect them." Decision and actions. At that moment, they both realized that they had to join forces. Naruto nodded, and together, they quickly began preparing for the upcoming battle. They contacted the rest of their allies and soon a team was assembled. Each was assigned a task, and Naruto and Esdeath knew that together they would have to protect their family. As soon as they left the house, Naruto turned around to look at his children sleeping in their beds. He knew that every decision they made that evening could affect their future. "We'll come back and everything will be okay," he whispered to himself, reassuring his heart as he and Esdeath walked out into the night, preparing to meet their fate. Premonition of storms. Suddenly, as they exited the village, the sky became covered with dark clouds, as if foreshadowing an approaching storm. Naruto and Esdeath felt their hearts beat in unison, knowing that they were ready to face their enemies, but also aware that each blow of fate could change their lives forever. Ahead of them lay a battle full of trials and sacrifices. But they knew one thing: despite the dangers, they would fight for their family, for peace, and for their love. Every step forward was a step toward an unknown future, full of trials and opportunities. Chapter 20: Rebuilding Trust. After the recent events, full of dangers and the choices that were made, Naruto and Esdeath were on the verge of emotional exhaustion. The battle with their enemies had left a mark not only on their bodies, but also on their hearts. They knew that they needed to work on rebuilding trust in each other in order to strengthen their bond and family. Night conversation. That night, when the tension had finally died down a bit, Naruto and Esdeath gathered in a cozy setting where they could reflect on everything that had happened. They sat on the veranda, under the warm light of the lanterns, enjoying the moment of silence after the storm. "I keep thinking about what happened. About how we were separated at that moment," Naruto began, his voice quiet and thoughtful. Esdeath, sitting next to him, felt her heart clench at his words. "I was thinking about that too. I want you to know that I didn't mean to leave you behind. I was just afraid for you, for us. I understand. But in those moments, I felt like I had to be with you, that we had to work together. I can't just stand by while we're being attacked," Naruto replied, his eyes searching hers as if hoping to find understanding. Opening of feelings. Esdeath sighed, squeezing his hand. "I understand that your power is to protect, but my power is to take care of you and our children. I don't want to lose you or them. And I don't want to lose you. But if we don't act as a team, we risk everything we have. We have to learn to trust each other, even in our darkest moments," Naruto said, his voice growing more confident. Confessions and hope. Esdeath nodded, feeling her heart fill with warmth. "I promise I'll try to trust you more. And I hope you can trust me too." "I will," Naruto replied, his eyes shining with hope. "Together, we can overcome any difficulties. We have been through a lot already, and our trust will be the foundation of our strength." At that moment, they both realized that despite their fears and insecurities, they were one. Their love and support for each other was stronger than any trials. Working on restoration. The next morning, filled with determination, Naruto and Esdeath decided that they needed to work on rebuilding trust through working together. They started with small steps, participating in everyday life, supporting each other in every endeavor. At first, they worked together with the children, playing and teaching them. They learned how to be parents and tried to pass on their values to them. Naruto showed the children his techniques, and Esdeath taught them how to use magic, explaining the importance of control and responsibility. These moments allowed them to feel connected and confident in each other again. Seeing their children happy and growing reminded them of what they had fought for. Supporting each other. After a long day of spending time with the children, Naruto and Esdeath would meet again on the veranda. It had become their ritual. Every evening they would share what had happened during the day, discuss their thoughts and feelings. It was so nice to see them excited today when they learned something new, Esdeath remarked, her voice full of warmth. Yes, I always dreamed of our children growing up with love and understanding. That's important to me, Naruto replied, his eyes full of hope. They continued to share their thoughts, and this strengthened their connection. They began to open up to each other, sharing even their deepest fears and desires. Joint training. In order to rebuild trust, Naruto and Esdeath decided to train together. This was not only a way to improve their fighting skills, but also a way to become closer to each other. Every morning, they would go to the training grounds. Naruto would teach Esdeath how to use more flexible ninja techniques, while Esdeath would share her experience in fighting with magic. They would work together to strategize and learn how to work as a team. These workouts not only became a way to strengthen their relationship, but also a way to remember why they fell in love with each other. They laughed, shared jokes, and found joy in every moment they spent together. Strengthening the connection. As time went on, their trust only grew stronger. Naruto felt that Esdeath had become his rock again, and Esdeath knew that Naruto would always be there to support her. They overcame all the hardships together, and it made them stronger as a couple. One day, during training, Esdeath failed to perform one of the difficult techniques. And Naruto approached her to support her. "Don't worry, it will work out. You are stronger than you think," he said, his voice full of confidence. She smiled, feeling that he believed in her. It strengthened their bond even more. Every time they faced difficulties, they knew that they could rely on each other. New level of trust. As the weeks passed, their connection became even deeper. They understood that rebuilding trust was a process that would take time, but they were willing to work on it together. Every day became a step toward a new level of trust and understanding. One evening, as they sat on the veranda, Naruto looked at Esdeath with a smile. "I'm proud of how far we've come. I feel like our trust is growing stronger every day." "Me too," Esdeath replied, her eyes glowing with warmth. "We've been through all of this together, and it's only made our relationship stronger." They hugged each other, and at that moment they felt their hearts beating in unison. They knew that there were still many trials ahead, but now they were sure that they could overcome them together. With each passing day, their bond grew stronger, and this gave them hope for a brighter future. Chapter 21, Test of Love. The bright morning in Konoha, filled with the singing of birds and the scent of blossoming trees, was deceptively calm. Naruto and Esdeath, enjoying the moment with their children, did not even suspect that their love would soon be put to a serious test. Call to action. Suddenly, an alarm sounded as messengers arrived to the village, reporting a new threat from Pan and his new allies. They began gathering an army to attack Konoha again, and this time, their goal was clear: to destroy everything Naruto and Esdeath had built together. When Naruto learned of the impending danger, his heart was filled with determination. "We must act quickly. I cannot allow them to harm our village or our family," he said as he prepared to leave. Esdeath, sensing his anxiety, came closer. "I'll go with you. We must be together to protect those we love." First check. The growing threat escalated the situation, and Naruto and Esdeath soon encountered their first difficulties. On their way to the gathering place of their allies, their group was ambushed. The enemies appeared suddenly, attacking from all sides. It was a real fight, and they were forced to work together, using their strengths and strategies to survive. However, in the midst of the fight, Esdeath was hit and Naruto rushed towards her in a panic. "Esdeath," he shouted when he saw her stumble and barely stay on her feet. "I'm fine, I just need a little time," she replied, but her voice betrayed her worry. This was a serious test of their bond. Naruto, realizing that his fear for her life could hinder them, steeled himself and focused on the fight. Unjustified fears. Fighting side by side, they were both able to defeat their enemies, but Naruto couldn't help but feel like there was a rift in their relationship. When things calmed down and they returned to their team, Naruto noticed that Esdeath had become more withdrawn. He felt like she couldn't help but be afraid that he wouldn't be able to protect her. "Are you okay?" he asked, trying to catch her eye. Esdeath, however, looked away. "I'm just tired, Naruto. These battles. They remind me of the past. I can't let that happen again." Tests of trust. With each passing day, their tension only grew. Naruto felt Esdeath becoming more distant. He understood that her fears were rooted in her past, when she was often forced to fight alone and she could not fully trust him, which caused tension between them. One night, when they were away from their children, Naruto gathered his courage and decided to talk to Esdeath. "You know I'll always be here for you, right? We're in this together, and I don't want you to feel alone in this," he said, his voice full of sincerity. Esdeath looked at him, her eyes full of emotion. "I know, Naruto. But I'm afraid that I might lose you, like I lost everyone I loved. I can't let that happen again." Second check. The moment they spoke, their surroundings changed. Suddenly, enemies appeared around them again. But this time, they were stronger opponents that posed an even greater threat. Naruto and Esdeath were forced to act quickly to protect each other and their team. The battle was intense. Naruto threw himself into the fight once more, but now he felt like he couldn't fully concentrate, knowing that Esdeath might get hurt again. She too knew that she had to fight, but her fear for him prevented her from acting. Esdeath finally realized that her feelings were only making things worse. "Naruto, I can't do this anymore. I want to trust you," she said, but her voice was weak against the background of the battle. Recognition. Gathering his courage, Naruto looked into her eyes. "I believe in you, Esdeath. I know you're stronger than you think. Let's do this together. I'll be with you every step of the way." At that moment, they both realized that their love and trust could overcome any obstacle. They joined forces again and began to act in sync. This was a turning point, their feelings became stronger than their fear. United forces. When they fought, Naruto and Esdeath used their unique powers to support each other. Every blow, every spell became more powerful due to their trusting interaction. They became one, and this gave them confidence. When the battle was over, they were victorious, but not without losses. Naruto and Esdeath knew their feelings had been tested, but it was this test that brought them closer than ever. They were more than just lovers, they were partners who could trust each other and act as one. Restoring connection. With the battle behind them, Naruto and Esdeath took a moment to talk. They stayed away from the others, and Naruto hugged her, saying, "I know it was hard. But now I see how we can work together to deal with any threat." Esdeath, feeling his warmth and support, nodded. "Me too. I don't want to be afraid anymore. I want to fight by your side and trust you." At that moment, they both felt their hearts fill with light. All fears and insecurities were left behind, and their bond only grew stronger. They knew there would be trials ahead, but now they had the strength to overcome anything that fate could throw at them. New stage. The road to rebuilding trust was not easy, but they did it. Their love had stood the test, and now they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. Every step, every word, and every action strengthened their relationship, and they knew that together they could overcome any obstacle. Naruto and Esdeath, embracing in a tender moment after their battle, realized that true strength lies not only in the power of their abilities, but also in the deep trust and love that binds them forever. They were ready to move forward like never before, together. Chapter 22, Uniting Worlds. After the ordeal Naruto and Esdeath had gone through together, their relationship was stronger than ever. But now that they were at peace again, a new goal lay ahead: to unite their two worlds to ensure a brighter future for their children and all the inhabitants. Research of ancient knowledge. Naruto and Esdeath gathered their friends and allies to discuss this new task. Their plan was to look to ancient knowledge that could help them find a way to connect their worlds. Sasuke, Sakura, Tobirama, and the others gathered in the library, surrounded by old scrolls and books. If we want to unite our worlds, we need to find a way to do so without harming the inhabitants, Naruto said, looking at the old scrolls, his heart full of hope. Sasuke, studying one of the scrolls, added, according to ancient records, there is a ritual that can help us create a portal between worlds. But for this, we will need a powerful source of energy. The energy of love and trust could be the key, Esdeath suggested, her voice confident. If we combine our powers, we can open this portal. Preparing for the ritual. After discussing the plan, the group began preparing for the ritual. Naruto and Esdeath knew that their feelings and unity would be the foundation for success. They decided to perform the ritual at the place where they first met, the battlefield where their paths crossed. Over the course of several days, they gathered the necessary components, magical artifacts, rare herbs, and symbols of their love, to enhance the ritual's magic. With each step, their bond only deepened. Ritual of Love. The day of the ritual had arrived. Naruto and Esdeath stood on a green meadow, surrounded by their close friends and allies. The sky above them was clear, and the wind gently caressed their faces. Everyone was preparing to connect the two worlds. We need to focus on what's important to us, Naruto said as he looked at Esdeath. He took her hand and they felt their hearts beat in unison. Esdeath smiled, her eyes sparkling with hope. We will do this together, Naruto. Our love can change the world. Sasuke and the others began to chant ancient spells, creating a magical aura around them. Esdeath and Naruto focused on their feelings, love, trust, and the desire to create a better future for their children and everyone around them. Ignition of magic. As the magic began to grow, a glowing energy appeared around them. A portal began to form, and soon a wondrous light opened up before them, illuminating the meadow. It was a beautiful sight, with silhouettes of two worlds in the space, seemingly ready to merge. We have to make the final move, Naruto shouted. He and Esdeath stepped forward, joining their hands and strengthening their magic. Connecting worlds. The light grew brighter and a wave of powerful energy hung in the air. They felt their powers mingling, creating something entirely new. In that moment, time and space seemed insignificant. They were part of something greater. We will do it, Naruto shouted as the light engulfed them. He and Esdeath merged their souls and the ritual reached its peak. The glow spread across the meadow and soon everyone saw the two worlds begin to connect. The portal became stable and both worlds began to interact. Naruto and Esdeath felt like their dreams had become reality. A new beginning. When the magic subsided, they found themselves in a new reality where their worlds intersected, creating a harmonious unification. The mountains and forests that were once separated were now part of a single landscape. Konoha village and the Esdeath Empire became neighbors, and the inhabitants of the two worlds were able to see and recognize each other. This is incredible, Sakura exclaimed as they all stepped into the new space. She was amazed at how beautiful everything looked. Esdeath, holding Naruto's hand, looked at him and smiled. We did it. We created a new beginning. Life in a united world. Life in the united world began with a new turn. People from both sides began to interact, exchanging cultures and traditions. Naruto and Esdeath worked together to establish peaceful relations between the inhabitants of the two worlds. They organized festivals where people could share their customs and history. Children from Konoha and the Empire learned from each other, opening up new horizons. Naruto and Esdeath became a symbol of unity and hope for their people. Future for children. Over time, Naruto and Esdeath realized that they had created a safe and bright future for their children. Their little ones grew up surrounded by love and understanding. They learned to value diversity and openness, which became the foundation for their relationship. "We made the right choice when we decided to merge our worlds," Naruto said as he looked at his children playing together. Esdeath added with a smile, "This is just the beginning, and I am sure our children will continue this work, creating a world based on trust and love." Conclusion. In this new world, Naruto and Esdeath were not just parents, but leaders who inspired others to follow their example. They knew that their love and unity became the foundation for future generations. By uniting their worlds, they not only found harmony between their cultures, but also created hope for everyone. Now that their hearts and souls were more closely linked than ever, they knew that together they could overcome any challenge that life might throw at them. A bright future lay ahead, full of opportunity and hope, and they were ready to face it together. Chapter 23, Confession of Feelings. With the worlds united, Naruto and Esdeath's lives took a new, bright turn. The joy of working together and creating a future for their children filled their hearts, but deep down they both felt that not all the words had been said yet. Each of them needed to open up, to admit their feelings and fears, to strengthen the bond that was already strong, but not quite complete. Calm morning. One clear morning, when the sun was just beginning to rise above the horizon, Naruto and Esdeath decided to spend some time alone, leaving the children with their grandmother in Konoha. They went for a short walk through a picturesque meadow, where flowers were blooming under the first rays of the sun, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of spring. "It's so beautiful here," Esdeath said, pausing for a moment to take in the view. She looked at Naruto lovingly, his smile always bringing her peace. Naruto, feeling her gaze, turned to her and asked, "Do you like this place?" "I've always loved coming here." He took her hand, squeezing it tightly, as if he didn't want her to leave. "Yes, I like it very much. It is peaceful and calm here," she replied, looking into his eyes, full of energy and warmth. Solitude for revelations. They continued walking and soon found a secluded spot at the bottom of a hill. There was no one there, just the two of them and the surrounding nature. Naruto sat down on the grass, pulling Esdeath with him, and they both settled down, leaning their backs against a large tree. For a few moments they simply enjoyed the silence and calm, but there was tension in the air, as if they both knew it was time to speak. "Esdeath," Naruto began, his voice quiet and cautious. "I want to talk about what's going on between us." Confessions. Esdeath looked at him carefully, her heart beating faster. "I thought about it too, Naruto. I feel like our feelings have grown even deeper, but sometimes I'm afraid to open up completely." "I understand," Naruto nodded. "Ever since you came into my life, I feel like I've become a better person. You've made me stronger and made me see the world differently. Not only have I grown to love you, but I value everything you mean to me." Naruto's words filled Esdeath with warmth. She smiled, feeling her heart overflow with tenderness. "I love you too, Naruto. You gave me hope I never dreamed of. But I'm scared that I might lose you." "Esdeath, I'm not leaving," he said firmly, leaning closer. "I promise I'll always be here for you. I want you to know you're not alone. I'm willing to fight for us, for our family." Internal fears. Esdeath sighed, her voice becoming gentler. "My past sometimes gives me doubts. I've been alone for too long, and it's hard for me to believe that this kind of love can be true." "Your past does not define you," Naruto replied, gently stroking her hand. "We are creating our future together, and I believe that we can overcome any difficulties." Esdeath looked into his eyes, where she saw sincerity and warmth. You gave me confidence to open up. I want to trust you completely and share my fears, but it's not easy. Exchange of feelings. I understand, Naruto said, his voice full of sympathy. But that's what makes us stronger. We need to share with each other, and then we can overcome any difficulties. Esdeath nodded, knowing he was right. She didn't want to keep her feelings to herself. I want you to know that every day spent with you makes me happy. You gave me meaning and hope. Naruto smiled, his heart filled with joy. You are my strength, Esdeath. I never knew I could love so much. Every moment with you is priceless to me. A tender moment. At that moment, they both felt their hearts beating in unison. Naruto leaned towards Esdeath, and their lips met in a tender kiss. It was a kiss in which they exchanged all their feelings, fears, hopes, and love. It was full of passion and understanding, and both knew that this moment would strengthen their bond forever. When they pulled away, Esdeath looked into his eyes and saw her own feelings reflected in them. Thank you, Naruto. I'm ready to open up and trust you, she said. Her voice full of determination. Merging of hearts. Naruto smiled, filled with happiness. Me too, Esdeath. We'll be together, and I promise I'll never leave you. Now they both felt that their connection had become deeper. They not only loved each other, but also became true partners, ready to support each other in any trials. The time spent together became an important step towards their future together. End of the day. Slowly, the sky began to turn bright shades of pink and orange as the sun set over the horizon. Naruto and Esdeath sat in silence, enjoying the moment that would become a turning point in their lives. Their hearts were filled with hope, and they knew that together they could overcome any challenge. This is just the beginning, Naruto whispered as he hugged Esdeath. She smiled and hugged him tightly. Yes, the beginning of our beautiful story. And at that moment they both understood that their love was just beginning to blossom, and much happiness and adventure awaited them ahead. Chapter 24, The Warmth of the Family Hearth. On a quiet evening, Naruto and Esdeath sat in a cozy house, surrounded by the laughter and joy of their children. Hanzo and Mia played on the floor, practicing the new techniques they had learned from their parents. The aroma of a freshly cooked dinner lingered in the air, and every moment felt special. Family dinner. Naruto watched the children with a smile. Hanzo, with a bright gleam in his eyes, enthusiastically demonstrated his new technique, jumps and acrobatic elements. Mia, although more reserved, supported her brother with a smile, encouraging him. Come on, Hanzo. You can do it. She shouted as he attempted a difficult turn in the air. Esdeath, sitting next to Naruto, smiled warmly as she saw her children having fun. I'm still better. Hanzo teased, and both of them laughed. At that moment, Esdeath entered the house, carrying a tray of food that she and the children had prepared together. Dinner is ready, she announced, placing the tray on the table. Naruto jumped up to help, and the children quickly sat down at the table, looking forward to the treat. Family dinner. At the table, Naruto began telling funny stories about his own adventures in his youth, when he and his friends tried to master ninja techniques. I tried to do a transport technique once, but ended up in a tree instead. You should have seen your Uncle Sasuke and Sakura's faces, he laughed, describing how his friends couldn't help but laugh. Hanzo and Mia laughed heartily as they repeated their father's jokes, adding their own comments and stories of their own misfortunes. It created an atmosphere of warmth and unity, where everyone felt like they were part of something bigger. Tender moments. After dinner, the family moved into the living room where Naruto and Esdeath had a little story time. They enjoyed listening to Hanzo and Mia share their thoughts and dreams for the future. I want to become a strong ninja like Dad. Hanzo declared, his eyes shining with determination. And I want to be as wise and beautiful as my mother. Mia added proudly. Esdeath felt her heart fill with pride for her children. She hugged them, and Naruto, seeing this, came over and hugged his family. Cozy conversations. Sitting together, they discussed important issues, about friendship, about the importance of supporting each other in difficult times, and about what it means to be part of a family. These conversations strengthened their bonds, allowing each to open up and share their fears and hopes. Naruto and Esdeath shared their experiences about how difficult it was to be parents, but how it also brought joy and meaning to their lives. Their children, inspired by these conversations, realized that family is not only about blood, but also about support, love, and understanding. The warmth of fire. The evening ended by the fireplace, where the whole family sat together, hugging and listening to the crackling of the wood. Hanzo and Mia slowly began to fall asleep, comfortably settling on their parents' laps. Esdeath looked at them tenderly, her heart filled with happiness. "We should have evenings like this more often," Naruto said, looking at his family. "It's really important to us." "I agree," Esdeath replied, stroking the children's hair. "We must remember how important it is to be together." At that moment, Naruto and Esdeath knew that despite all the trials they had to endure, their family was their greatest treasure. Those quiet moments with their loved ones were what truly mattered, and they were determined to create even more memories full of warmth and love. Chapter 25, The Enemy Within. The calm that reigned in Naruto and Esdeath's home was suddenly disturbed by an uneasy feeling. Several days had passed since they had spent a cozy evening with their family, and there was a feeling of tension in the air. Naruto noticed that his children had become more wary, as if they sensed an approaching threat. Ominous omens. One evening, when Naruto was returning from training, he saw Mia and Hanzo discussing something in whispers. As he got closer, he heard words that made him uneasy. "I saw him hiding in the shadows," Hanzo said quietly, his voice shaking with fear. "It could be dangerous, Hanzo." "We mustn't tell anyone," Mia replied, her eyes full of worry. Naruto felt a chill run down his spine. He knew this wasn't just a kid's game. There was something serious that kids were up to, and he needed to figure it out. Anxiety is growing. The next day, Naruto gathered his family to discuss his suspicions. They gathered in the living room, where it was unusually quiet. "I know something is wrong," he began. "You're hiding something from us, and it's bothering me." Hanzo and Mia looked at each other, and finally Hanzo, gathering his courage, said, "We saw someone watching us from the forest. It disappeared into the shadows and reappeared." "I don't like this, Dad." Esdeath, sitting next to him, felt her heart beat faster. She knew that as a general, she had to be prepared for any threat. "We have to find out who it is and what he wants," she said, her voice sounding determined. The enemy's tricks. Naruto, Esdeath, Hanzo, and Mia went into the forest to investigate. They moved carefully, listening to the sounds of the surrounding nature. Suddenly, Naruto felt something change in the air. "Someone is here," he whispered. Suddenly, a mysterious figure emerged from behind the trees. It was a man hiding his face under a hood. "You still can't stop me," he said, his voice cold and sinister. "I've come to destroy your family." Battle for defense. Naruto and Esdeath stood up to protect their children, ready to fight. Hanzo and Mia clung to their parents, their faces showing fear, but also determination. "Who are you? Why are you threatening us?" Esdeath asked, her eyes flashing with anger. "I was sent to avenge old scores. You destroyed my people, and now I will take what you have," the stranger said, his voice full of hatred. Joining forces. Naruto and Esdeath exchanged glances, and in that moment, they knew they had to work together. Esdeath activated her magic, creating ice spears ready to attack. Naruto gathered his chakra, preparing to use his technique. "Hanzo, Mia, stay behind. Naruto shouted as he and Esdeath attacked the enemy at the same time. The glittering ice spears flew towards the enemy, but he deftly dodged them, summoning shadows to fight them. A real battle broke out around them, and Naruto and Esdeath showed all their strength. Family protection. Hanzo and Mia, although scared, felt the strength of their parents. They knew they were protected and decided not to stay away. Hanzo, remembering the lessons he had learned, gathered all his courage. "We can help too," he shouted as Mia stepped forward, ready to use her abilities. "No, kids. You're in danger," Naruto shouted, but it was too late. Hanzo released a wave of chakra, trying to protect his sister and his parents. United efforts. At this critical moment, Naruto and Esdeath saw Hanzo and Mia combine their powers, creating a unique technique that enhanced their own attacks, giving their parents the opportunity to seize the initiative. "Now! Together!" Esdeath shouted. The entire family united, and their combined power caused a powerful flow of energy. Finally, the family's concerted efforts helped to achieve victory. The stranger was defeated, and the threat hanging over them disappeared. Lessons and unity. After the battle, the family gathered, tired but determined. Naruto hugged the children, feeling closer than ever. "We did it together," he said proudly. Esdeath nodded, her heart filling with warmth. "It's a reminder that we always have to be on guard and support each other," she said, hugging her children. Hanzo and Mia, now full of confidence, knew that no matter what they went through, they would always be protected by the strength of their family. That evening, when they returned home, they realized that no enemy could destroy the fortress they had built together. Chapter 26, Fight for Love. Time had passed since Naruto, Esdeath, and their children encountered the mysterious enemy, and although the threat had been eliminated, new challenges had arisen within their family harmony. Unpleasant memories of the battle still haunted them, and tensions grew with each passing day. Trouble on the horizon. Naruto and Esdeath began to notice changes in their children. Hanzo was becoming more withdrawn, and Mia, although trying to hide her feelings, also seemed worried. Naruto knew that they needed to talk to figure out what was going on. One evening, when the family was gathered for dinner, Naruto decided to discuss the situation. "Let's talk about what happened. I know it was hard for all of us," he began. Hanzo suddenly stood up, clenching his fists. "It's not just hardship. I can't stop thinking about how we were in danger. I feel like I couldn't protect you," he blurted out. Mia, sensing the tension, intervened, "But you did everything you could, Hanzo. We did it together." Tests of loyalty. Word by word, the tension grew. Esdeath, realizing that it was also testing her family, said, "We have to remember that the most important thing is our love and commitment to each other. We have to support each other, especially in difficult times." Naruto nodded, "But we also have to be honest. Each of us is experiencing this differently. We can't ignore our feelings." His words were met with a deep silence. Unseen circumstances. The day after their conversation, when Naruto and Esdeath decided to take the children to train, they discovered that Hanzo and Mia were missing. The pair began searching for them in a panic. Naruto felt fear grip his heart. Maybe they went into the forest again? Esdeath suggested, her voice shaking with excitement. "We need to look," Naruto replied, and they both ran towards the forest. A difficult find. Finally, after some time, they found Hanzo and Mia. The children were sitting on the edge of a stream, discussing something serious. "What's going on here?" Naruto yelled, running up to them. "We were so worried." Hanzo raised his head, his face serious. "We were talking about how we need to become stronger to protect our family. We don't want anyone to threaten us again." Esdeath looked at the children, feeling her heart fill with both pride and worry. "You're right, but we also need to support each other. Strength isn't just about being able to fight. It's also about being able to trust and work together. Test of love. A dull noise was heard nearby, and they were attacked again by old enemies, those who followed the stranger they had fought earlier. They came for revenge. Naruto and Esdeath quickly stepped between the children and the threat. "We won't let you hurt our family," Naruto shouted, clenching his fists. Esdeath released ice spears, preparing for battle. Hanzo and Mia felt the tension and stood next to their parents, ready to protect their family. This decision became a key moment for them. They realized that together they can overcome any difficulties. Battle for unity. The battle erupted with renewed vigor. Naruto and Esdeath worked in unison, using their powers to stop the enemies. Hanzo and Mia also contributed, using the skills they had learned from their parents. Together. "We can do this together," Naruto shouted as they combined their powers. The battle culminated when the entire family combined their techniques into a powerful stream of chakra. This resulted in the creation of a protective barrier that pushed the enemies back to a safe distance. Recovery. After the battle, the entire family stood together, hugging each other, feeling united and connected. Hanzo and Mia, tired but determined, looked at their parents. "We realized that we can overcome difficulties if we stand together," Hanzo said, his voice full of confidence. Esdeath nodded, her heart filling with pride for the children. "Strength comes from unity and love," she added. Naruto hugged everyone, feeling the weight lifted. "We did it not only as a team, but as a family. Our love is what really matters." That evening they returned home knowing that their love and devotion to each other would help them overcome any challenges that might yet come their way. Chapter 27, The Calm Before the Storm. After the recent stressful events, Naruto and Esdeath knew they needed to recuperate and strengthen their family. They each realized the importance of finding time for themselves and their loved ones, even when the world around them is full of uncertainty. Morning with the family. It was a quiet morning. Naruto stretched and opened his eyes to see the sun shining through the window, illuminating the cozy house. Esdeath sat down next to him, looking at him with a gentle smile. "Good morning, darling," she said, her voice soft and soothing. "Good morning. I'm so glad we have the chance to just relax today," Naruto replied, reaching out and hugging her. After breakfast, they gathered with their children, Hanzo and Mia, to spend the day outdoors. It was a unanimous decision. The family needed the simple joys that bring laughter and warmth. A walk in nature. They headed towards a picturesque lake surrounded by green trees and flowers, Naruto and Esdeath walking ahead, discussing how important it is to create such moments of happiness for their children. Hanzo, running around with Mia, picked flowers and teased his sister cheerfully. "Look, Mia, I'll pick the biggest bouquet for Mom," he laughed, trying to catch up with her. "Don't rush, Hanzo. We have time," Mia shouted, trying to catch up with her brother. Lessons from nature. Upon arriving at the lake, Naruto suggested a picnic. He laid out a blanket and Esdeath began to lay out the food they had prepared earlier. The aroma of fresh food filled the air and soon everyone was sitting on the grass enjoying the treats. "You know, I've always thought that nature is the best place to relax," Naruto said, taking a bite of his pie. Esdeath looked at the children with a smile, "And it's not just for relaxation, but also for learning. We can teach you something new." Hanzo, with curiosity in his eyes, asked, "For example, how to catch fish? Or how to build a hut?" Mia added, her enthusiasm infectious. Simple joys. After eating, they began spending time at the lake. Naruto and Esdeath taught the children how to fish, and then they played a little game of who could build a hut out of branches the fastest. The children happily took up the task, laughing and encouraging each other. During this time, Naruto and Esdeath, watching the children, realized how important it is to appreciate such moments. Their relationship grew stronger, and with each passing moment, they realized more and more that family is the most important thing they have. Tender moments. As the sun began to set, they decided to build a small fire by the lake. The flames burned brightly, and all four of them gathered around it, snuggling up close. Naruto began telling stories about his adventures as a young ninja, and everyone listened with interest. When I first started, I was afraid too. I thought I would never be strong, he shared, looking at the children. But then I realized that strength comes not only from skills, but also from the people who support you. Esdeath, recalling her own difficulties, added, and how important it is to trust each other and work together, even if the paths seem difficult. Strong connection. Watching the fire dance and the reflections in the children's eyes. Naruto and Esdeath felt their love and bond grow stronger. They each knew that new challenges lay ahead, but they were ready to face them together. We must remember that no matter what the hardships, we can always rely on each other, Naruto said as he hugged Esdeath and the children. Mia sat on Naruto's lap and said, "We are family, and we will always be together." Everyone agreed, and they knew that it was in moments like these that true strength was built. It was the calm before the storm, and they were ready to face whatever challenge fate had in store for them. Chapter 28, Sacrifices for Love. The calm that had enveloped Naruto and Esdeath's family was as fragile as thin ice. Several days had passed since their day in the wild, and there was a sense of menace in the air once again. Naruto and Esdeath both knew that the calm was only a respite before another storm. With each passing day, they felt more and more that their enemies had not retreated, and were perhaps preparing another attack. Fearful premonitions. Hanzo and Mia, although happy after their vacation at the lake, noticed a change in their parents' mood. Naruto became more thoughtful, and Esdeath looked into the distance more often, as if she sensed an approaching disaster. Every time they heard rustling sounds in the forest, the children's hearts sank in fear. "Why are Mom and Dad so sad?" Mia asked Hanzo as they played in the room. "I don't know, but we need to be strong," Hanzo replied, trying to encourage his sister. "We can't afford to be scared." These words, although full of confidence, could not extinguish the growing anxiety inside the children. They did not understand the full gravity of the situation, but they felt that something was wrong. Surprise attack. One evening, when the whole family was gathered for dinner, their peace was shattered. Suddenly, one of their friends, Kakashi, ran into the house with a gloomy expression on his face. "Sorry it's so late, but we have a problem. The enemy group has become active again and they are moving towards your house," he said quickly, breathing heavily. Naruto and Esdeath exchanged looks of worry and determination. They knew the time had come and they had to act. "We have to protect the children," Esdeath said, her voice full of confidence. "Yes, and we can't let them get into trouble," Naruto replied. Preparing for battle. Having gathered all the necessary things, they prepared for a possible defense. Naruto, as always, was full of enthusiasm despite his gloomy premonitions. "I will not allow anyone to harm our family," he firmly stated. Hanzo and Mia watched their parents with concern, their hearts pounding in fear. Naruto and Esdeath noticed this and tried to be optimistic and confident. "Don't worry, we are with you," Naruto said, lifting the children's spirits. "We are together, and that is our strength." The battle begins. As the enemies approached the house, Naruto and Esdeath stood up to defend themselves. They used all their strength to hold back the attack. The battle was fierce. Naruto used his techniques, creating many cloned shadows that distracted the enemies, while Esdeath used her magic, freezing them in place. "We can handle them," Naruto shouted as he fought against the group of opponents. But soon they realized that there were too many enemies. One of them, with incredible strength, was especially difficult to stop. Each of them fought as best they could, but the number of enemies only grew. Sacrifice for love. At one point, when it seemed like the situation was getting critical, Naruto saw the enemy direct his attack at Hanzo and Mia, who were trying to take cover on the side. Something inside him tugged, and he knew that he couldn't let this happen. No! Naruto yelled as he rushed towards the children. He activated his chakra to use the Rasengan technique, but at that moment, his attention was distracted by one of the enemies who suddenly attacked him from behind. Esdeath, seeing Naruto in danger, rushed forward to save him. At that moment, she took the blow on herself, a moment that seemed like an eternity. The blow was powerful, and she felt her body being thrown back several meters. Esdeath! Naruto yelled, his voice filled with despair as he saw her fall to the ground. He immediately freed himself from his enemies and rushed towards her. Difficult choice. Esdeath, breathing heavily, tried to get up, but the pain froze her movements. "I'm fine. I'm just a little tired," she said, trying to smile, but her eyes showed fear and worry. Naruto, feeling panic creeping up on him, shielded her from further attacks. "No, Esdeath. You shouldn't be here. We can't lose each other." He knew that if she didn't regain her strength, they could lose everything. At that moment, his heart was breaking with fear and pain. He couldn't imagine how he would live without her. Esdeath, sensing his fear, tried to calm him down. "Naruto, you must continue to fight. I will not let you give up. Take care of the children, they need you." This was something Naruto didn't want to hear. He couldn't leave her. "I won't leave you. We'll get through this together," he screamed, but she knew the situation called for sacrifice. Choice with sacrifice. At this moment, while Naruto was in confusion, Hanzo and Mia, watching what was happening, realized that they had to do something. Despite their fear, they gathered all their strength and approached their parents. "Dad, Mom, we want to help too," Hanzo shouted, clenching his fists. "No, you're in danger," Naruto shouted, but his words were ignored. Mia hugged her brother and said, "We are a family and we have to be together. We can't let them defeat us." Naruto, seeing the children's determination, knew that they too were willing to sacrifice for love. It was a decision he was afraid to make, but one he knew they had to make. "Then we fight together," he cried out as a spark of hope ignited in his hearts. Overcoming the darkness. Gathering their strength, they became one again, ready to face their enemies. Naruto clenched his fists and activated his kurama technique. Esdeath, despite the pain, raised her hand, and ice blades began to form around it as she prepared to use her magic. "Together!" Naruto shouted, and the entire family united, focusing their strength on a common goal. This energy, combined with their love, created a powerful flow of chakra that was able to push back the enemies. With their powers combined like never before, they were able to stop the attack and finally win. New perspective. After the battle, when the enemies were defeated, Naruto, Esdeath, Hanzo, and Mia gathered together. Esdeath was still lying on the ground, but now she had a smile on her face. She knew that they had done it together, and that was their greatest strength. "We did it, we did it," Mia said, hugging her parents. Naruto looked at Esdeath, understanding evident in his eyes. "You were willing to sacrifice yourself for us. I can't let that happen again," he said, his voice shaking with emotion. Esdeath reached out to him and said, "It is love that makes us strong. We must remember that despite all the trials that may await us, our family is what truly matters." A new beginning. From that moment on, they realized that their love and commitment to each other was more important than ever. Nothing could destroy what they had created, and they were ready to face any challenges that might arise. When they returned home, Naruto and Esdeath looked at their children with pride and affection. Hanzo and Mia. Those who survived these events became even more united and strong. "We are family, and together we can overcome anything," Naruto said, hugging everyone. Esdeath nodded, her heart full of love and gratitude. "And we will always be there for you, no matter what happens," she added, her eyes shining with hope for the future. With this determination and a new understanding of their priorities, they knew that together they could overcome any challenges that life might throw at them. Chapter 29, Reunion. After tense days of fighting and loss, Naruto and Esdeath finally felt their world begin to return to normal. Despite the ordeal, they knew that the most important thing was their love and family. And this feeling gave them the strength to move on. New challenges. However, while Naruto and Esdeath were glad that their enemies had been defeated, the world around them was no calmer. The threat of their old enemies still hung in the air, like a dark cloud about to burst into a storm. Both knew that they could not afford to relax. They needed to prepare for new challenges in order to protect their children and loved ones. Gathered in the cozy room of their home, they decided to discuss their next steps. Esdeath, with a clenched hand, ran her hand across the table where maps and documents were laid out. "We can't just wait. We need to find out who else could threaten our family," she said, her voice full of determination. Naruto nodded, his face showing understanding. "I agree. We must join forces with our friends and allies to be prepared for any eventuality," he said, considering his next steps. Search for allies. The next day, Naruto and Esdeath went to Konoha to meet their old friends. They knew that in unity there is strength, and that they must enlist the help of those who are willing to fight for their family. When they arrived at the village, they were met by a group of ninja, led by Sasuke and Sakura. Sasuke, noticing the tension on Naruto and Esdeath's faces, asked, "What happened?" "We felt something was wrong. There are new threats, and we need your help," Esdeath replied, her eyes gleaming with determination. She recounted the recent events and how they had encountered a powerful enemy capable of destruction. Sakura looked at Naruto and Esdeath full of concern. "We are ready to help you. We are your family and we will not leave you alone," she said, and her support was invaluable to them. Preparing for battle. Gathering together, they began to plan. Each team discussed their strengths and capabilities. Naruto decided that they should split into groups to cover more ground and gather information on possible threats. Esdeath, with her unique experience, took charge of training the team to strengthen their strength. "We have to be prepared for the fact that we can be attacked at any time," she said. Her strategy was to strengthen the combat readiness of each member. Naruto and Esdeath had several training sessions where they shared their techniques and experiences. Hanzo and Mia, despite being children, also tried to help. They looked at their parents with admiration and a desire to be useful. Trials in the training camp. The training was intense, and each day they became a more cohesive team. Naruto and Esdeath watched their children grow and develop, and it filled them with pride. Hanzo, trying to emulate his father's techniques, showed incredible dedication. He even developed his own techniques, trying to use his father's powers and his mother's magic. "Look, Dad, I can do that too," he shouted, creating a clone and trying to use the technique. "Well done, Hanzo. Keep training and you can achieve your goals," Naruto praised him. Mia also tried to keep up. She worked hard on her techniques and showed miracles in magic. Esdeath, seeing her desire, decided to devote more time to training with her daughter. "You are capable of much, Mia. Your strength is that you believe in yourself," she said, inspiring the girl. Unseen circumstances. However, in the midst of all their training, an unexpected event disrupted their plans. One day, while they were working on their preparations, a group of enemies suddenly attacked the village. It was the same enemy they had fought before, and now he had come for revenge. In the midst of the battle, Naruto and Esdeath once again joined forces to protect their friends and family. The battle raged on with renewed vigor, and Naruto felt his chakra fill him, giving him confidence. Esdeath also showed off her skills, freezing her opponents and creating protective walls to protect the children. Hanzo and Mia, standing next to their parents, watched the battle with excitement, ready to help if needed. Moments of strength and weakness. During the battle, when the enemy began to put serious pressure on him, Naruto was once again faced with a difficult choice. He noticed one of the opponents heading towards Mia, and at that moment, his heart sank. No! I can't let this happen! Naruto shouted, rushing forward. But Esdeath was faster. She created an ice barrier that stopped the enemy. Naruto, watch the kids. I can handle it, she screamed. Naruto looked at the children and saw their fear and worry. Stay close, don't come too close. He shouted as he struggled to control the situation. Complex decisions. The battle was intense, and each of them felt the pressure. Naruto knew that if they didn't deal with the enemy now, the consequences could be catastrophic. With each moment that the enemy got closer to the family, his fear grew. Esdeath fought tirelessly, her magic was powerful, but the enemies also began to use their techniques. Naruto felt his strength draining, and at some point he realized that they needed to do something drastic. We should combine our powers and use a technique that can finally stop them, he suggested, looking at Esdeath. Esdeath nodded, her eyes shining with determination. Come on, we'll get through this together. Our powers are combined, and that will help us win. A powerful union. Naruto and Esdeath focused, their chakras began to intertwine, creating a powerful flow of energy. They knew this would be their only chance of winning. On the count of 3, Naruto said, his voice full of determination. 1, 2. The moment they said 3, their powers exploded into a bright light and they directed their attack at the enemy. It was a powerful blow that repelled all the enemies and led to their defeat. After the battle. When the dust settled and the enemies were defeated, Naruto and Esdeath, still full of energy, looked at each other. Their hearts were filled with gratitude and love. In that moment, they realized that every sacrifice and every trial was part of their common path. We did this together, Esdeath said, her eyes shining with happiness. Naruto nodded, his heart filled with pride. Yes, and we will always be together, no matter what difficulties may arise. When they returned home, their children greeted them with joy. Hanzo and Mia hugged their parents, and it was a moment when all the worries seemed insignificant. We were so scared, Mia said, her voice shaking with emotion. Naruto hugged the children and said, now you know that we will always protect each other. Nothing will separate our family. Esdeath added, and we will work together to create better days for all of us. Reconnecting with nature. After all the stress, Naruto and Esdeath decided that they needed to spend time with the kids to reconnect with them. They set off to a quiet place in nature where they could enjoy the simple joys of life. They had a picnic outside, surrounded by greenery and the sounds of nature. Naruto and Esdeath enjoyed the moments when they could just be a family, rather than warriors fighting for their lives. Hanzo and Mia were running around picking flowers and laughing. Naruto and Esdeath were sitting watching them play and laughing with joy. I'm so glad we could be together, Esdeath said, looking at Naruto. That's exactly what we need, just to be a family, he replied with a smile. They knew that reunion wasn't always about victories, but also about those quiet moments when they could enjoy each other and strengthen their bonds. A promise for the future. Sitting on the grass, Naruto took Esdeath's hand and looked into her eyes. We've been through so much together, and I know our future will only get brighter, he said. Esdeath smiled, her heart full of hope. Yes, and I promise to always be with you and our family, no matter what happens in the future, she said, her voice full of love. Naruto, feeling their bond grow stronger, promised, we can do this together. We are a team. At that moment, they knew that their love and connection with their children was what really mattered and that they would be able to get through any challenges that might come their way. This chapter of their lives was just the beginning of their journey together, and they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. Chapter 30, The Finale. After all the trials and tribulations Naruto and Esdeath had gone through together, they finally felt like they could start a new chapter in their lives. The world around them had become more peaceful, and now they were going to build a future full of happiness and love for themselves and their children. New day. The sun was rising above the horizon, filling the whole world with golden rays. Naruto woke up from the light coming through the window. He looked at Esdeath, who was sleeping peacefully next to him, her hair scattered across the pillow. A smile involuntarily played on his face. At such moments he felt like the happiest person in the world. He quietly got out of bed, trying not to wake her, and headed to the kitchen. The memories of how they had gone through hardships together inspired him. He wanted to do something special for his family. As Naruto made breakfast, he couldn't help but think about how far they had come. Esdeath and he had managed to overcome their differences and become not only life partners, but best friends. Every step of their journey, every victory and defeat, every trial had made them stronger and closer to each other. Morning with family. When breakfast was ready, Naruto returned to the bedroom and gently woke Esdeath. She opened her eyes and felt a surge of joy when she saw him smiling. "What are you planning, Naruto?" she asked with a wink, knowing full well that he was always up to something. "I made breakfast. Let's get the kids together," he said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. Esdeath happily agreed, and soon they were all gathered around the table. Hanzo and Mia, still a little sleepy but full of energy, sat down next to their parents. Naruto looked at his children with pride, realizing how much they had grown in this time. Each of them had inherited something from their parents. Hanzo was brave and determined like his father, and Mia had the same magic and beauty as her mother. "What a wonderful day today," Naruto said as he poured juice for everyone. "I think we should spend it outside, in the park." "That's a great idea," Mia exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with joy. Hanzo nodded in agreement, and Esdeath simply smiled, happy that the family was spending time together. Time in nature. After breakfast, they quickly packed everything they needed for a picnic and went to the park, which was not far from their house. The park was full of greenery, flowering trees and cheerful sounds of nature. It was the perfect place for their family day. Naruto and Esdeath spread a blanket under a beautiful cherry tree. The children began to play, running after each other, laughing and making joyful cries. Naruto and Esdeath sat next to each other, watching their children with love and pride. "Look at them, Esdeath. They're really happy," Naruto said, his heart filling with warmth. "Yes, this is our greatest achievement," Esdeath replied, her gaze full of tenderness. "I never thought I could be as happy as I am now." While the children were having fun, Naruto and Esdeath shared their dreams and plans for the future. They discussed how they wanted to raise their children, how important it was for them to instill in them the values that they themselves profess. "I want them to know that family always comes first," Esdeath said. "And that it's important to be strong, but also to take care of others." Naruto nodded, "I think so too. We've been through a lot of hardships, and now I want our children to know how important it is to cherish every moment together." Lessons of love. During the picnic, they decided to tell the children stories about their adventures, how they met, how they fought, and how they overcame all obstacles together. Hanzo and Mia, listening with wide eyes, were amazed by the stories of their parents' courage. "You're so cool," Hanzo exclaimed, impressed that his father was such a powerful ninja. "Can you create multiple clones, Dad?" Mia asked, her curiosity piquing. "Yes, I can do that, but the most important thing is not only strength. It is important to be kind and protect those you love," Naruto replied, his voice full of wisdom. Creating a new world. As the sun began to set, they all decided that it was time to take a short break and just enjoy the moment. Naruto and Esdeath held hands as they watched their children play against the backdrop of the sunset, feeling their love and happiness grow with each passing moment. "You know, I feel like we've really created something special, Esdeath said, her voice full of emotion. Not only did we build our family, but we also created a world where love and care are the main values, Naruto agreed, his eyes full of hope. At that moment, they both realized that their love had become the foundation for a new world they wanted to live in. It was a world where there was no place for hatred and evil, but only peace, trust and support. Flight into the future. After a busy day, they returned home, and in the quiet of the evening, they sat together in the cozy living room. Naruto, looking at Esdeath and the children, felt that it was here, in this room, that they were able to build their happiness. Esdeath, feeling the calm atmosphere, said, "Let's make sure our children always know they have support and love. We can create something more than just a family." Agreed. We can create a future where they are happy, free, and can become whoever they want to be, Naruto replied, his voice filled with enthusiasm. It was a moment when they decided that their love would be the foundation for future generations. They discussed how they could create educational programs for their children and help others who might need it. Uniting two worlds. Naruto and Esdeath knew that their union was not just a love story, but also an opportunity to unite two worlds. Each of them brought something unique to the relationship, and now they wanted to share it with others. We can create a school where children from both worlds can study and grow together, Esdeath suggested, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. That's a great idea. We can show that differences aren't barriers, but opportunities for growth, Naruto supported her. Thus, their dream of a new world began to take shape. They began to gather a group of like-minded people who shared their vision and wanted to help with this project. Inspiration and work. Months later, with the support of friends and allies, they opened a school that became a symbol of unity and understanding. Naruto and Esdeath worked on programs that combined martial arts, magic, and peaceful coexistence. Children from both worlds began to come to school, and it was a magical time when different cultures and ideas intersected, creating a unique atmosphere. Hanzo and Mia happily took part in this process, proudly showing off their achievements. Every day they saw new bonds being formed between children, and it gave them strength. Naruto and Esdeath knew that their dream was coming true, and that they had created not just a school, but a new community where love and respect reigned. Unity Day. To celebrate their school's success, Naruto and Esdeath organized a grand festival that brought together people from both worlds. The festival was not only an opportunity to showcase the students' talents, but also a place for communication and exchange of cultures. The celebration included music, dancing, cooking, and games. People laughed and enjoyed every moment, and everyone felt like they were part of something great. Hanzo and Mia were excited to participate in the performances, demonstrating the skills they had learned in school. Esdeath and Naruto felt their hearts fill with pride as they watched the joy of their children and the people around them. This day was the culmination of their efforts, and they knew that their love and desire for peace had made this unity possible. A future full of hope. As the evening drew to a close, Naruto and Esdeath stood with their arms around each other, watching the stars sparkle in the night sky. They knew there was still much work to do, but their hearts were filled with hope and love. "We did it, Esdeath. We built something amazing," Naruto said, his voice full of emotion. "Yes, and this is just the beginning. I want our children to continue this legacy, so that they know that love can change the world," Esdeath replied, her eyes shining with determination. With these thoughts in mind, they decided that they would continue to work to create a better world for their children and for everyone who wanted to participate. They knew that their love was a force that could overcome any obstacle. Eternal love. Over the years, Naruto and Esdeath continued to create new memories and strengthen their bonds. Their children grew up inheriting the best qualities of their parents and became wise and strong individuals themselves. Every morning Naruto and Esdeath would wake up together, share their dreams and plans, and every night when they went to bed, they knew that their love was only getting stronger. Their home was always filled with love, trust, and support. No challenge could separate them. They knew that together they could overcome anything and that their family was their greatest treasure. With smiles on their faces and hope in their hearts, Naruto and Esdeath continued on their way, creating a world where happiness and harmony reigned, and their love was as endless as the stars in the night sky. The end. My story.